Yeah. Hello again. I'm back.
Hello.
I have chilled drinks and I have a goat.
A chill goat.
Yeah. Emery will be here shortly. We are just gonna hang out till then. Not really gonna start. However, we are today and now, starting now, is gonna be talk show time. Meaning I'm just gonna turn off certain redeems. So they don't get in my way. Certain redeems. Close that. Why is it always starting in theater mode?
I blame Red Letter Media.
Why? What's the joke? I don't get it.
It's because it started in theater mode. They just released another video today of them playing a game based on them.
Oh, okay.
It's very random.
Yeah, we're not getting compliments or threats either right now. We're not getting gagged. I will have no yamot no. This is talk show. Mostly we're just gonna... Yeah, the stuff that doesn't need much interaction I can just leave in.
Yep.
Okay. These are coming back, folks. Don't worry about it. But for now, this is how it be. And you might want to John Madden things today, so I'm gonna put my art program up.
John Madden things?
Yeah.
We're gonna yell at people in the stands or something?
We certainly could.
Yeah, stop doing that!
We won't really have a, like, it is them, yes. We won't really have a, what you call it? Like a browser source, I don't think. We might for some of this, but...
Yeah. You just suddenly open Notepad at some point and then just type in something that's not quite like what we said.
Yeah. I'm sure I already have this, right? It should have this as... Yeah, there it is. Boom. To make it a little bit smaller. And put it a little bit behind us.
A little bit smaller, a little bit behind us.
Boom. Okay, Waggles. Oh no! Oh, I get it now. I thought you were saying "be right back." But are you doing the thing with the Moonbase game?
Yes.
Well, that was legendary. You know what? Since we aren't starting yet, let's put that up. What was the name of that game?
What is it? Super VHS, the Red Letter Media video game.
No. I mean, what Waggles just did.
Oh, Moonbase Alpha, yeah.
Yeah. Is it this one, I think? Welcome to Moonbase Alpha? Fuck. Is it this?
In a world, ski, retarded.
No, it's not this. It's not this. What's a shorter one? Yes, here, this one, 2 minutes. Yeah, it's with the Mario music.
Yes. That's the one.
Holla holla get dollar. John Madden. Point, question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, question mark, fail. 999. I'm laughing for real right now. 999. John Madden, football, Murph. Snake. Naki. 972-98. 5 Big American TTS Hybrid and 335 3790.
Oh yeah, that's where I remember Moonbase Alpha from. Kraken did a stream of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh god, this. Why does it end like this? It's too loud. Okay, end of this. So undock this one and this one, and close my Twitter before we see Booba.
Previously
So
on
now
Booba Twitter.
this is the right browser. Hi Nomad. Hello. How are you
No
today?
bad.
Just to recap, we're going to talk about, this is Tabletop Talk. We are going to talk about how to DM today, because we needed like a month break or 2 weeks break after the Dark Souls game.
Yeah.
Because it did, holy crap, that game.
I mean, it even broke me a little bit. I'm like, still thinking about it to this day.
Like, it was, yeah, it would have been so easy to get like enough right that it's like, oh, this is okay.
Yeah,
But
this is passable.
This isn't a stellar product. Oh, Emery is coming in a minute, Sandert.
Yeah.
Emery is fashionably late, as you are.
He's a wizard, you know?
Yeah.
He's a wizard.
He arrives just on time, just when he deems it correct.
Yep.
We're not actually really starting, just talking slightly about it. The can I have a BGM on? Is this loud and is it not playing? Yeah, now it's very, very silently playing. Tell me if it's too loud, I will turn it off. The idea is that, yeah. I lost my train of thought completely now.
Dark Souls could have been a slam dunk very easily.
Yeah.
They just they meandered around to things that they shouldn't have done right away.
It's not even necessary that it would have been necessarily a slam dunk. It's just like, yeah, just to make a game that's okay. Would have been very, very easy. And they had a kernel of some okayish ideas in there, but they gave you nothing. They gave the game really ultimately fails for me because it gives you no idea on what you are supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because no, you can't actually run just Dark Souls 3 for a bunch of places. It will not work. So what the fuck is the game doing? It doesn't at any point tell you, oh yeah, by the way, this is how you run like a dark fantasy game in the style of Dark Souls for yourself. That's what a 50% of their thought had to go in, but 0% actually did. Instead, they statted out a bunch of stuff wrong.
Yes. And like when you're getting stuff wrong on that level, just stop. Just stop. You just no. Just no.
Yeah. It's a bit too obvious that you don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I'm getting attacked. Oh no, Mommy Kate is killing me. Oh, Supernova will get the medkit and will probably win. As Mommy Kate turns around. No, Mommy Kate is out for blood, and that is a tactical mistake.
Tactical mistake.
Ooh. Oh man, I don't know, Drake. What is there to say? Not much more, I think. It is literally would have been the easiest thing ever to get right, or to get right enough.
I did have an update on Cinnabar though.
Oh great, please, Cinnabar star. Yes. Wait, can I wait, we have to find a new sticker sound really quickly. Oh, I know where I can probably. Oh, I have the perfect website. Give me just a minute. Give me just a minute.
No find the perfect one.
Let's see. New sticker. New sticker. I have to not mistype it. The fuck is your problem? News. Daily news? Why would that not? There's literally no result. Okay, we're going with YouTube. New sticker sound.
I'm really digging the custom tags though that I'm seeing people use.
Yes. So BGM off. Let's just click this. See what we get. Oh. And today at the 1 p.m. news, it is time for Cinema. Drake, what do we have on that front? Please. We're going live to the reporter in the field.
Well, today we have another update on the world of Cinnabar. Apparently, not responding to him makes him respond to himself once again. He decided to respond to each and every one of our responses to him again because we didn't respond to his responses. Very reductive, but you know, that's exactly what Cinnabar is. It didn't show up in my notifications on Twitter because apparently he spams the entire world in this way. Because he's a boomer when it comes to Twitter. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yes. The real actual man who wrote the real actual cinema game is really actually being a boomer against us. And it does nothing. That concludes Cinema News for the week.
Yes, that's it. I could say what he said, but it's him advertising his game. That's all it is.
No one
really.
cares. Eclipse Starfire, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Hi. I'm Nora. I'm on the internet. I'm in Honey Jail, and we are talking about D&D right now and DMing. Will be in a second when our other co-host Emery shows up.
Yes.
Which should be real soon. We are just making fun. So this show usually happens every 2 weeks, and we review a game, like a tabletop game, and normally it's a bad one. And one of the bad ones we reviewed is Cinnabar by one old-timey legend of, and I say legend in the worst way, old-timey legend of game design. And apparently that guy made a new Twitter account and is now following all of us and talking shit at us because we did that. And it's great.
It's absolutely great.
Yeah, his original account, it's on his name, he doesn't use anymore because he was involved in a scam, so he should probably shut the fuck up. But now it's pretty clear that it's him who has this alt account because no one else cares. There can't be anyone else who sells this hard on Cinnabar. It must be him.
It must be. It's 1,000% him. And this is the first time I've posted a meme about somebody, and then that somebody has shown up, and my response is going, "What the fuck?" So,
yeah,
it feels like I exist now. Thank you, Mr. Raven McCracken.
Yeah,
thank you,
Mr. Raven Zach McCracken.
Zach McCracken.
Wait, what was my delivery there? What are you talking about, Nomad? The best, not my best. Oh, I get it. Okay.
I was just like, does Nora have a stork assistant? It's like, your deliveries. What?
How does it feel to have a nemesis? I feel like I can do better than him as a nemesis. I feel like if he's my nemesis, I have peaked early.
Yeah.
And I will be he's like, how in like an anime or in any show there's like a guy they show who is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do something bad, and then some other guy just murks him.
Yes.
And then that guy is the bad guy for the arc. That's him. The guy who gets murked that's Raven.
Yes.
The real bad guy is still to show up.
This guy is one of the CR0 monsters out of the monster manual.
Yes. A BGM coming back.
BGM.
BGM. Yeah, it's a good one. I really dig what Vampire Ian has done for me there. Might as well have that in the background for today since we won't have other music most likely. Real bad guys, Steam Forge Studio. Ah man, there's a bunch of bad publishers out there, and I would never put it past them to maybe make something good. But I think if like a guy like Raven makes his game and it fails, like objectively because no one cares,
yeah,
no
nobody
staying
does.
power, And then he just hangs on for dear life to that game forever. Hi, Emery.
Hello,
Emery.
my headphones didn't connect, so I had to dip and dive.
That's all good.
Oh, good.
Are you good now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, as good as I can be. I'm thinking about Indigo Prophecy.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
So, well, I'm not even. That's all I'm gonna do.
No, Kung Fu Fight the Bugs.
No.
Kung Fu Fight the Bugs.
Well, no, yeah, let's go. Fine, I'm game. So
playing Indigo Prophecy?
no,
No.
but we already did Raven news though. So in Cinnabar news, complete with a news stinger, because
shit.
the man. Yes, we are super live. The man
Yep.
is
Alright.
the man is boomering the fuck out at himself because we didn't answer to him.
Yep.
Wait, what?
He's answering his own tweets.
Dude, I'm losing it. What? He's going full
Yes.
fucking like schizo. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yes. Like
Why?
he spammed all of us, and so that didn't trigger my notifications because spam automatically doesn't show up your notifications. So I had to physically go to the tweet and be like, "Huh? Did he respond?" Oh, he did. To all of us repeatedly.
Yep. I saw
So
nothing of that. It's so.
Me neither. Why?
He gets
Raven, are
himself,
you okay?
he gets
Can we get
himself
a
auto-muted. I think the answer must be no, Emery.
really quick? Can we get a mental health check on Raven?
Um,
Can we get a mental health check on Raven McCracken?
not it.
No,
We need to
I don't even
physically-
feel like it.
Raven, pay for my ticket, and I will come out to check on you. And if you want to, we can go hang out, and you can rant at me in person.
Oh God, please.
Okay?
Please.
Because I want to make sure you're okay.
Fuck. There's a
You're scaring me, Raven.
There's a non-zero chance he's here, isn't there?
Yep.
Look,
Yep.
That is so
seething.
scary. No, that's
Yep.
so scary. I don't
It's
want to
so
think
true.
about that. I don't want to think about the idea of Raven McCracken lurking.
I think
Yes.
I think
in
what's gonna save us in that regard is that Raven would have to figure out Twitch.
Yes, and he uses speech to text, so he would have been trying to figure that out with Twitch. So,
Oh my god, that's powerful.
yep.
That's powerful.
Speech to text is a kind of power, yeah. The power
Yep.
to be always have an excuse for your typo and bullshit that you say.
We just see somebody with a random username out of nowhere say, "How does this work?"
I would actually really like that.
Just abort. Tweet.
Why don't we have
Back,
like a dedicated chatter who creates their own new fake Raven McCracken?
Is it like in Parks and Rec, like delete all photos of Raven McCracken, just loudly shouted at the screen?
I feel so bad. Now I feel bad.
I would like to remind you that the man literally scammed people.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, your uptime is 4 hours and 16 minutes? What the fuck have you been doing?
I've just been playing games until now, Emery.
Okay, I woke up an hour ago, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm very sleepy.
That's fine. You might remember that I'm in Germany. It's 7 p.m. here. Already
Yes, no, I'm aware. I'm worried about your 4 minute uptime or your 4 hour uptime. I was concerned. That's not normal.
Why isn't it normal? I just played games.
I'm just. That's not the usual tabletop talk.
No, it's not.
That's
Yeah.
not what I'm used to. Anyways.
It's not.
Oh, Sundered Ant was Raven McCracken.
Oh, goodness.
No.
Oh,
That would be.
that makes so much sense.
But then
That'd be the twist.
But no, wait. It can't be true. Because we started this show right around the time Sundad came into this whole thing. So that would mean that Raven must have known that we would eventually review Cinnabar. And he used months
True.
of
And he
time
didn't
to
stop.
befriend us.
He didn't stop us. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. This is no, I don't believe it.
Oh no, man, that's strong.
We're all actually. We've all got,
No.
we've all got a little Raven McCracken in us, and sometimes he gets out.
Like, like on the one hand denied, on the other, for his age, the man doesn't look that bad. So yeah.
He looks
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm surprised. He looks great. He looks like just about any like normal Portland hipster who would tell me that his craft beer is better than you can buy in store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pisses in bottles and sells it.
He looks like he's the stunt double for Thomas Jane. I think it works.
Oh, that's true. And I just thought of this. Wait a minute, Raven McCracken, get into the craft brewing business and sell Cinnabir.
Yeah. Cinnabir, yeah.
That is actually Oh
That-
god. You can make Cinnabir life emotions flavor.
Yeah.
That's free for you, Raven.
Yeah.
That one's free. You want any
Yeah.
more of those ideas? Come back and
If-
pay
Yep.
me. Now I'm gonna
if they-
expect some royalties for this. It's okay.
If we see Cinnabir in 6 months, then
Oh,
we know.
I'm
we
gonna be
know.
giving him a strong cease and desist.
No, wait. You said it's free. This one was free. You said.
I'm gonna take that one back. If I see Cinnabir on the market, I will send you a cease and desist unless you cut me in on royalties. I will take 3%. Thank you.
That's. I guess you won't get better than 3%. Right?
Yeah.
I don't care. That's all I want. It's very small.
No, yeah,
That's a
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
3%'s pretty reasonable.
Like
Yes.
3% for getting the full IP on Cinnabir. That's so fucking worth it.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or this is a weird one. I'll let you have it for 48% of the Cinnabar IP. Now that's strong.
Oof.
Oof.
That's no controlling interest.
I don't care.
I get it.
Yeah.
I
Do
honestly.
you think I want 51? Do
No.
you think I want 51%
I would,
Cinnabar in my
yeah,
life?
but I want nothing. I want none of that. Like, it will be associated with the IP. That's not good.
It's true.
Right now, we're just some shitters talking truth about it. But if you are like,
Yep.
if it's yours, nah, I don't like that. Like,
It's true. It's true.
but he will take the 3% because he likes this weird shitty game too much to hand it over.
Way too much.
At least for free. I mean, if you give him $50, I think he would do it.
Ooh, yeah. I told Raven McCracken to sell me controlling interest in Cinnabar for $50, and he did it. The absolute madman.
Turns out there's $500,000 of debt into that somehow.
Okay, I do want to say it makes me very sad that Raven is so schizo on us.
Yeah,
Because like I do respect. I would guess the letter of his words rather than the content of them, or
Yeah.
even the spirit. Because like I like crunch heavy games. I like incredibly deep immersive sim stuff. Like I like all that stuff that he likes.
yeah.
The only problem is like the design has to be solid, and
Yeah.
when other people who like the same stuff as you tell you, dude, the design's not good, and you freak the fuck out, like you've tied too much of your personhood to your art here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tied too much of it to your design.
Way too much.
Yep.
It's like people have criticized Undertale. Did Toby Fox fucking cry about it? No, he just existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
He just
Did
rolled,
my thing.
you know?
Here's
Yeah.
Deltarune.
It had probably that everyone likes Undertale, and even all the critique comes from a place of, oh, this and that probably could have done a little bit better, as opposed to, dude, you forgot
I
some
have seen
mechanics.
some crazy.
Yes, there's
like-
always. I mean, okay, there's always someone crazy, but like the
true.
the most normal critique I've seen is like this and that dragged a little here and there. This could have been better. Some things aren't communicated perfectly, and so on and so forth.
like,
and if
like,
that's
I don't like-
most of what you get, who cares, right?
I'm gonna be straight up. I don't like Undertale. I just don't. I don't like bullet hell games, so I don't like the moment-to-moment gameplay. And
Yeah,
it's,
that's
you know,
that's
I don't have
will
fun
that's
with it.
will ruin it for you. Absolutely, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm also not
Flat out.
super into. Wait? You have a battle royale command?
Yes,
What the fuck is that?
that's stream avatars.
Anyways, that's excellent. Anyways, so anyways, no, it bumps me out. I wasn't a huge fan of Undertale. I didn't like its writing and stuff like that, but I respect Toby Fox, and I think the guy is an absolute banger track maker. I think if Toby Fox lived the rest of his life just making video game OSTs, it'd be
Heck yeah.
absolutely incredible.
I managed to play Undertale unspoiled, and it really like worked for me.
This is gonna sound really cracked. I think Undertale's OST has a very similar, power that the Joker OST has.
I don't.
Now I'm gonna explain that really quickly. Undertale's soundtrack evolves from chiptunes to full orchestral stuff as that same type of layering that the OST of Joker has. By the way, that's the best part of that film. The rest of it's whatever. The rest of it's fine. I think a couple of the shots are really nice, and I think Joaquin Phoenix is very good. However, the soundtrack layers as the depths of that character's insanity builds, and I think that's really solid soundtracks.
Yeah.
Undertale and Joker are two sides of the same coin. The Jonker movie is true.
You can be pretty unhinged in Undertale. No, again, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think. Okay, here's my hot take on Undertale. I think it's a good game if you like bullet hell. I am like neutral on it. So I found it, and I liked it for the story because the story did work, like the meta stuff. I liked it.
I'm gonna be real. I actually
is-
think the meta stuff is like the weakest part of Undertale.
No,
It feels very basic.
No, I think it is actually, for me, it's the strongest part.
When I wrote my original review, which if you find it, you get a coin. You get a fine coin. My review of PS4 Thief is also on there.
Oh no.
However, yeah, that one was bad. That was like a Kafka-esque piece. That was the piece that I quit writing video games.
Understandable Thief 4 is such a garbage game.
It was so bad. But anyway,
I feel so much pain.
I described it as juvenile, and I think it is. I think it's very weak. I think the rest of the game is incredible, but like the actual like content of its meta commentary is really very basic. It's the same stuff that we've asked for 20 years.
I
30
think
years.
I think
in terms of role playing video games, I think it's whatever.
I think for me it worked because I honestly I genuinely didn't expect it to go that place. So the surprise did work for me. That's literally like something I don't think anyone can have that feeling now, unless it's like your grandma who never plays a video game at all, and you're like, here's Undertale, and they're probably not gonna get to any of that because they die against Vegemite guy, whatever his name was. But and as for the the plot isn't exactly complex or the point, but the fact that the game treats like it's saving like a thing that the other characters know about to an extent is I like that, and it's just I like that. I'm not gonna say this game is the game of the century, flawless masterpiece, but for one guy making a game,
century, Nora.
Which century?
16th century.
Snakes and ladders, shoots and ladders, whatever. Probably chess. I don't know.
I think chess was the game of the century for like 10 centuries.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it got beaten out by Right to Hell.
Oh, actually, I will say no. It's Go. Go is better than chess.
Go is way better than chess. You know what? I'm gonna
is.
push this one. I think Shogi is the greatest board game ever made. That game is incredible. However, Go is more simple, so it has a broader appeal.
Yeah, Go is more simple.
Yeah.
The simplicity of Go is so deceptive, though.
Yeah, but I think that's what makes it.
That's
really
a
powerful.
strength.
It's all about the player,
Yeah.
not about the game.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to play your opponent in Go, and I think that's the best part. But anyways, long and short of it, tabletop games.
What? What do you mean?
Tabletop games.
Oh, you mean the show we're doing?
The show that we're supposed to be doing.
Oh no.
Yes. What?
Okay, dog, I had my homework. What's this week?
Now, Nora, are you the dog that ate your homework?
No, I'm a cat.
All right. That's valid. That's valid.
No, but okay, no. Jokes aside.
I have always wanted to see a visual gag of somebody going, "My dog ate my homework," and it cuts over to like a pup gimp. I think that would be incredible. That would be so good.
That would be so
That
good.
would be very good. Yeah, I agree.
God, why has nobody done that?
But
No, Nomad and I were up super late, and I didn't sleep very well.
I didn't sleep well either. But I think
It's fine. Doesn't matter. I got coffee.
I had my crash moment earlier, so I think it's good. Okay, this week, since we literally died live on stream last time, we did this with Dark Souls,
Ugh.
a role-playing game.
Yes.
We are going to talk about how to DM and how to DM good. That's going to be the topic of today. And to facilitate this a little bit, I have my drawing program open in case we need it. I also have a browser I can show. Not sure what we are doing.
It's gonna be a little bit strange.
Yeah. It's going to be different.
This is the experimental era of tabletop talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the round table era.
Yeah, this is our like Queen in a Barn making Bohemian Rhapsody kind of energy.
This is like Red Letter Media sitting around realizing, wow, we're not reviewing a movie. What do we do?
Yeah.
I hate Red Letter Media so much. I hate them so much.
They have some weird takes at this point. I don't mind
They
them.
really do. Holy shit.
Dude, they've gone so boomer.
Yeah.
Oh, but they are
They've become like
yeah, but they are boomers.
absolutely unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, how many shots of strong alcohol did it take to get over the Dark Souls tabletop? I'm not over it.
Yeah.
I'm not over it. No, it's still there. It's part of the reason we're doing it here today. Like we're doing the thing that we're doing because a lot of those design decisions are very poor and do not lead to you actually being able to GM the game. That is number one. I'm gonna say right now with a bullet. There is a power to GMing, and a lot of that power comes to you from the rules, and that's really important. That's to me. I think knowing the rules of whatever you're running is like the number one.
Yep.
A lot of people talk about like, oh, you don't have to just skim it. No. Cover to cover the book. Cover to cover.
Yeah,
Before you
every
run,
time.
cover to cover.
Yeah, I mean, you
Make
can...
sure you know. Or at least, go through the how to DM this game, like the section just for GMs. I guess page to cover that.
Yep.
Just go through that and make sure you know every rule, know how combat works, know how this and that, and right. I've been DMing for a bajillion years of an ancient disgusting elf. But I'm like a fucking mummy that's been rehydrated.
Mummy sorry, as they say.
But anyways, even I get 5th edition rules mixed up because guess what? I've played like 8 editions of D&D and those rules all blend together.
Yeah.
Because the base
true.
gameplay is so similar. It happens. It's gonna happen with whatever new edition we have now.
Yeah, what the most common thing I think for old heads is, oh yeah, that spell, I know how that spell works, and then someone reads it out to you, like, oh, they changed the 5th. Yeah, great, okay, I guess we're playing with that interpretation now.
Yep.
And
That's the number one right there.
I very much agree. So here's the thing. The rules are there very much for the most part so your players can make an informed decision about what their next move should be. Like, if I am the barbarian and have 18 strength, I should be expecting to bash this door in if I also have athletics, for example, because that would be the role. And if I fail, I can then rage and do it again with advantage and so on and so forth, because I know the rules. This is how it would go. And this is also why the DM has to know the rules, because if you completely botch it on your side of the table, then your players are going to be like, what's happening over? What are you doing? And it's not like, obviously the DM can make up whatever he wants, but if the stupid ogre suddenly pulls out a wizard head and is an 18th level caster and casts Cloud Kill at the party, then people are going to have some questions about your DMing.
Yes. Now, however, if the toad that sits on his shoulder is actually a wizard that has been transformed into a toad and he casts Cloud Kill, that's valid.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm just like simple example to how it doesn't work versus how it will work. Like,
you cannot play Calvin Ball. If you start playing Calvin Ball, your players aren't going to get they aren't going to get engaged.
Yep.
Nope.
I've been thinking a lot recently about Bethesda's Radiant Quest system.
Ugh.
And wait, please, it's going to be disgusting. And the concept of emergent gameplay in general, it's why I'm so into Zomboid, because I like emergent gameplay and emergent narrative as like as a thing. And I was thinking about, this used to be a thing that we did in role-playing games. That was just what we did. We would see something on the map and we would go do it. And I kept thinking, why don't we get that anymore? Why do we have such just like goal-oriented and not exploration-oriented or character-oriented stories now? And I think it's just down to how people have started to retrain themselves over the types of games that we've had.
Mhm.
We have a lot of A to B stories. We don't have a lot of those like long, meandering, explorative narratives anymore.
Yeah.
But hey, that's how it goes.
To an extent, that's down to what people want from the game. Neither
I
style,
feel like
is inherently better or worse.
they're not inherently better. No,
Yeah.
of course not. However,
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
very powerful. However,
yeah.
I think that people don't exactly know what they want. I think they've been conditioned towards like very heavy narrative games when it's like, no, you can find a lot of enjoyment in the more meandering kind of like, about the journey kind of vibe.
Oh yeah, you definitely can.
Yeah, it's also like people look down on people who like to even do combat. And combat can be a really it's a kind of a different game. Obviously, there's not going to be like a 15-minute monologue about your grandfather in there, probably, but it can be a very visceral and moment-to-moment thing where it's really cool. Like I will think back to last week Thursday where Reese actually learned something in combat.
Yeah.
And the repercussions of that haven't been seen that much yet because I didn't have time to really show them.
We'll get there.
But we will get there. And it wouldn't have happened had you not had to choose between the comrade's life and him being like the cool guy. That it didn't completely fall apart was only due to someone else, and that's cool. And that's something that could never have happened without the combat. But like it's
I'm really
valid.
glad that the first character you ever played in any of my games is like a direct participant in one of like the major themes of the stuff that I write. That's wild.
I'm happy to have accidentally landed on that.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. I mean, if you look at any of my last sessions, we've been doing a lot of dungeon crawling, so like the sessions will often start with combat. But there's also like I'm not gonna sit here and force you to watch a bunch of NPCs just roll stuff.
Yeah.
I do think that part of the DM knowledge, like understanding what's in the book, right? If you're playing like Cyberpunk and you know that these runners, these enemy runners versus this just group of scabbers, whatever, nomads.
Yeah.
If those two are going to go at it, you don't want to roll and roll and roll. You just do the math in your head and just go like, oh, these guys have overwhelming force, or I'm just going to make a single die roll, and maybe these scrappy underdogs will overtake them. But
and that is that's one of the things you learn as a DM and a very important skill in my opinion.
Play it loose. Play it loose.
That's not the skill though.
Yeah.
The skill is
Really?
to eyeball like a situation and know who would likely win. That's
craziest
also
thing that comes out of sheer experience. There's absolutely nothing you can do.
It does.
That.
But I'm gonna talk about this a bit more, and I have one or two good pointers I think for people who aren't there and want to get there. Like take as an example. Oh yeah, there's 5 orcs in this room, and you're hearing noises that there might be more orcs over there or something. And you as the DM aren't sure if 5 orcs is like a hard encounter for your group or an easy encounter. Because you just don't know how they're going to do it, because they might be under like the opposite of optimal ideas, for example. They might be bad rolls, you never know that.
Oh yeah.
So if you're unsure if your players are going to do an encounter well or not, and you're like, obviously your end result of a good encounter shouldn't be, oh yeah, they are all dead now, awesome. It should be, yeah, they were challenged. It wasn't easy. There's going to be There's going to be a memorable thing in this fight that happened, where
the situation has changed.
Where something about someone has changed, or something important has been used, something has been lost, something has been destroyed, and something happened. You know. So one of the good things you can do if you just aren't sure how to balance an encounter for your party is to earn the encounter to an easier level. Where you are like, okay, these 5 orcs, we have 5 players. These orcs have like half the hit points of the players. They do less damage. Clearly, unless this is super unlucky on their part, these orcs are not going to be a problem. However, the party goes in, fights the orcs, and then more orcs come in as the fight is too easy. but it can be a different number of orcs depending how easy the fight is going, for example.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And one of the
Always
most...
remember Moria. If in terms of like
Yeah.
adding more stuff, there will always be enough goblins to join the fray, so everybody has something to do
Yep,
before the troll dies.
yep. And
Like
the...
there were theoretically infinite goblins in that
Exactly.
Moria encounter,
and that's
because
that's-
Aragorn and Gimli could just ace them super quickly.
Exactly,
And,
yeah.
We want to give them something to do before,
more or less, more or less those goblins were there for the extra economy to not be all on the troll, yeah.
Yes.
And what you just do, what is good design, is to be like, let's design the situation they're in a way where more goblins can come in. Because if it's like, yeah, there's one room, there's no other exits, and there's 5 goblins in there, and the party murks them in half a combat turn, then that was boring and pointless. But if there's like 3 other doors and the crawl space, then there could be 50 more goblins in this fucking encounter. You don't know.
Yep.
And that is a very good way to design fights. Where like the situation isn't entirely clear to the party, so unforeseen stuff could happen. That's my first like pointer for good DMing. And in that way you will learn, okay, they could fight 5 orcs, then 5 orcs again, then 5 orcs again, and then I stopped because they were like kind of low. One person was actually knocked out, and that was a good number. But so they couldn't probably fight 15 orcs at once, because that is a very different beast. I could probably go with 8 next time, see how that goes, and then maybe 5 more orcs come, and then it's enough. Because fighting 8 guys is just a different beast than fighting 5, and so on and so forth. And then you learn over time how to eyeball your encounters better. Because, like, big information alert that you should already know if you like read a monster manual for 5 minutes. The CR means nothing. Like, challenge rating is fucking stupid most of the time.
Challenge rating. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna defend challenge rating and also shit on it at the same time. Challenge rating is something you can pay attention to get a good idea of kind of where something is gonna land in terms of its ability to affect the party. It doesn't mean how many hit points it has, but even though there is like a mathematical calculation, if you ever do something publishing second or first party for Wizards of the Coast, they tell you, hey, you have to make sure everything lines up in this, and if you make a new monster, it's gotta be calculated to the CR, as it's supposed to be. But like, you've seen some of the monsters that I fucking design.
Mm-hmm.
How do I put the Devil May Cry shit that the Elden Ring boss flips? How do I put that into CR? Well, it's a very powerful movement-based reaction, so you have to kind of thumb.
Yeah.
You have to do a rule of thumb, eyeball it. But really, when it comes down to that, CR is a solid deal, but use it to calculate experience, not difficulty.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to.
True. Yeah, it has uses, but the uses aren't to eyeball encounters, because eyeballing encounters like, oh, there's a beholder. And your party might be set, like, on the level to fight one. But if your party does no one who can fly, and the beholder isn't an idiot, and your party is mostly melee based, then that beholder is going to be 50 feet in the air shooting death rays, and your party is going to try to throw rocks at it or something.
If your party's all spellcasters, you're fucking dead anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's lots you can have to tweak about these things, especially as you get on higher level. And
I think
CI isn't gonna do it.
There's also an issue in terms of encounter design, and it's just like, this is a game that is meant to be played over a long period of time. I'm talking specifically about D&D, but a lot of tabletops are built that way too.
Yeah.
A lot of like the higher level things that you're dealing with are there to be capstones for characters or to be great challenges, right? Like, I love Hydras. I fucking love Hydras. I think they're awesome.
Me too. I
Big
love
creature,
Hydras.
Bunch of heads. I love it. Do I want Reese to fight a Hydra? Yeah, I would love to get Dwarf Hercules fighting a Hydra. That would be sick. However, I'm pretty sure Reese would fucking die fighting a Hydra right
At the moment, yeah, I think I would agree with that, yeah.
So you have to delay that gratification long enough, which is why I tend to tell people, I used to do world building streams. I did map building streams a long time ago before I was a VTuber, and I really enjoyed it. But a question that I got asked consistently is I would calculate hunting patterns and the size of a territory for a big creature. You don't have to do that, but I've been an avid hunter for most of my life, so my interest in a creature is what are its habits? You know, what's its habitat? What's its diet? What does it like to do? And a lot of these creatures, dragons especially, dragons are just people. You got if you think about like stuff like a dragon or a great sapient creature, it is basically just like a serial killer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It
completely.
sits. A dragon sits in its castle or its hoard or wherever it vibes, and it goes like, "All right, sick. I want to go eat 40 sheep and burn a village to the ground for kicks. I'm bored."
Yeah, didn't do that in a while.
But my great dragon, what won't that cause them to summon knights and heroes to kill you? Don't care. Burn them too.
Yeah, I mean,
get wrecked.
that sounds like a good time, actually. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Finally, a proper battle.
Yeah. Like, okay, not all dragons are going to be like that, but yeah, that's certainly a take on a dragon you can have.
Yeah.
So when I say that, I say that in terms of like making your world believable and making the encounter believable rather than just like doing it because you want your party to do something. You know, it's more important to me.
Oh yeah.
At least.
Oh yeah.
I think that makes you genuinely a better GM if you can hold off on that.
Yes. Like one of the things. Yeah. This is no knock on you, Emery, I will say right now. Because the dragon fight was really good that you did. But there's people who will be like, oh, it's D&D, I have to have a dragon fight immediately.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be like the blue dragon hatchling or what have you. It's going to have 30 hit points. And it's going to fight second level characters. And it's just going to be on the ground doing a claw attack, and then it's going to die. Because it's not really statted out for any of this. And the DM didn't do it smart. And no one really cared about that fight. Your dragon fight was cool because we kind of got the drop on that dragon, even if it like surprised us in the moment. We kind of
you got the drop on it, and it got the drop on one of you, and I think that's the best part. Plus, I mean, a lot of that fight was evolving. Like it makes sense to me that this creature is going to be flying, it's going to be swimming, it's going to be doing everything it can do.
Dice
I really
also
wanted
just
to do
talked
the
in that
second
fight.
bridge because I really liked that creature swinging Nick into that bridge. It just like barreling through it. It's not gonna give a shit. But sure as shit, that one guy, that thin guy on it's gonna probably die.
True.
5 feet of breaking order. In general, there's a desire to go really big right away.
Yeah, that's
you need to remember that this is meant to be played over a long period of time.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like this is why your first fight should be I won't necessarily say easy fight, but it should be like Carsons. Normal fight, like against some dudes in some armor with some weapons.
I think this is probably going to be my most controversial opinion during this stream. I think the Lost Mine of Phandelver is not only a really good adventure, but I think that its intro is so good. It is so good. You start and you're on the road and you find 2 horses that are filled with arrows. And if the party investigates or tries to move the horses, which are making a roadblock for your cart, you get jumped by 4 goblins. I think that's so solid. It's an encounter that's meant to be dealt with from 3 to 4 players, their first level, and it gives you enough time to understand the mechanics. I think that is so strong.
Yep.
That's
a
really strong.
Great first fight. That being said, you could do a lot better.
Of course.
Oh yeah. Very
a lot
easily.
Of people tend to use stuff like zombies or skeletons. I like my good old goblins. But in non-D&D terms, like trying to comb through things for something that's low power but not boring is kind of the most important deal for encounter design. Because a lot of stuff, like I think zombies are super boring.
Yeah, doing them classic is very boring because it's just gonna be a dice roll if they actually stay down and then
The only way I've ever seen zombies get interesting is, I don't even remember where I learned this. I was taught this, and I can't remember if it was Chris Clark or somebody else from TSR, but it's the Romero style, where one is going to push you down, one's going to grab you, and the third one is going to attack you, and on the next turn, you are prone, grappled,
Yep.
whatever system you're dealing with, and then all three are going to be munching on you because that's what they do.
Yeah.
They wash over you like a wave. They try to get you to the ground, and then they get on top of you. That's the whole point. That's how you die. You die by tripping when it's zombies, you know?
Yeah, you don't
But
die
I've
by...
always been a fan of, like, Jason of the Argonauts, so I always preferred skeletons, to be honest.
Yeah, I think skeletons are inherently more threatening than zombies in the game. Even
Really?
even if because they're quick, honestly. Like zombies are gonna amble at you, and it's gonna feel like, yeah, okay, we have like, if you just walk backwards, we are gonna be fine. Like if we have the ability to walk backwards and shoot a bow, we actually gonna be it's gonna take a while, but we are fine. But skeletons are gonna just bum rush you, and then yeah, sure, they die easy. But they have decent damage potential for a first level encounter, as opposed again
So
to
mad I
zombies.
couldn't get the gif of Jason fighting the fucking skeletons in that movie. I love it. It's so good. That movie's awesome.
Jason the Argonauts, yeah, the stop motion is super good.
God, it's so good. I love stop motion. What a classical piece of animation. But anyways, I don't know. Bums me out. A lot of what I'm going to talk about today is D&D specific, but like
Oh yeah.
that's just kind of what's on the brain. However, this is something that it's going to be a very specific. It's going to be targeted advice at my wife. It's partially at Ronby and partially at just people who have played one system, usually D&D, for a really long time. And it's a way to combat burnout. DM burnout is like a huge problem, or GM burnout, or whatever you want to say, storyteller burnout. It's a real problem that you get when you run something for a really, really, really long time. In that, through no fault of your own and through no fault of the system, it's not even boredom, right? Like, you haven't grappled with everything that the system can do, but you're just kind of feeling this malaise. Just stopping or rolling on to another game is probably your best choice. I don't like just stopping. I have done almost 2 decades of just straight running because I hate stopping. I hate not running. If I'm not running, I'm missing a piece of my week. So making sure that I've got some dice going out is always something that I kind of want to keep in my head or keep on my schedule. So if you're burnt out with it, try a new system.
Exactly, that was I would have said there. Like, systems are gonna eventually run stale for you. Not even forever, but for a while at least. And then it's bad. Then sticking with it forever is not gonna be healthy for you. Obviously, because your whole, like, if you don't like what you're doing, then how are you gonna deliver good content either?
And I will say, just don't just go over to the bargain bin option of your system, right? Like, if you're running like Call of Cthulhu, right, and you're getting burned out, don't just go run Delta Green. It's the same shit.
Palette cleanser, yeah.
Yeah,
If
do
you're
something
playing
different.
D&D, don't go play Pathfinder. You shouldn't be playing Pathfinder anyways. You have more respect for yourself than that, honey. It's okay.
Yeah.
Why wear the knockoff when you can wear product, really?
Yeah.
But anyways. No, like that's why I show Modiphius so hard, because I think the 2d20 system is so radically different from what you're doing, but it's still using very similar conventions that you're already used to.
It's also,
if you're playing D&D, play Conan. Try Conan if you like fantasy.
Yeah.
It's wild. It is a wacky game.
I would say whenever I got burnt out, it wasn't usually on the system. It was usually on a setting. So if I would want to switch, I would not want to switch from D&D to Conan, because it's just, it's a different setting, but it's still going to be sword fantasy kind of thing. So better to do a sci-fi thing or something, or do vampire
what's
or
our
whatever.
Post arc for our deal, right? What I've pitched to the group, like, hey, after we finish this arc for the Thursday game, we're gonna do a short, like, couple sessions of like Overarms or Fallout.
Yeah.
Something radically different. I know you're pushing for Overarms really hard.
I'm not that hard. I'm okay with either, but
I see.
I would prefer Overarms because it's just, I've never played something like that.
That's
Like I have played in the post-apocalyptic games that have not happened to be like in a Fallout setting, but hey.
Yeah.
So just being like, yeah, I'm gonna make up a weird ability, and then I'm gonna try to abuse it as much as I can. That sounds like way more fun.
Yeah, we're gonna get aberrant too.
Heck yeah.
However, I think your aberrant character was fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard to play though.
That character was so sick. Yeah, I get it, but like it was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. I
I
liked your
feel
character
like
a
with
lot.
more sessions, I could have gotten more used to that.
Yeah. The super deduction thing was really an interesting steal for me because that's not my idea, but
There's also like, you have to be a very detail-oriented person to understand that. Like, that's like whenever I've had players who want to play characters with super intelligence, or like they have this like kind of deductive reasoning or this ability to chain together things. Like my brain functions in a way that it goes, okay, yeah, I get that and I can explain that to you, but it's going to be kind of disconnected because that's how thoughts like that work, because they just chain to chain to chain to chain. And so working in that spider web is very strange. Sad that Aberrant fell off. Well, I mean, yeah, the system was weird. The system was strange, and we had a good time.
I think say the new edition might be more playable, but we just didn't
possibly
get back to it.
Yeah, after reading through it a couple of times, it is more playable, honestly.
All right.
Like,
Well, that's radical.
yeah, we have years and years to eventually do something like that. I'm not in a hurry.
Do we? What if I'm dying right now? What if I'm in a hospital?
You're an elf. You're fine.
Ah, damn, it's true.
Probably also a secret lich or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or a mummy. I don't know, you know.
Okay, this is actually pretty cracked. I did actually have like an idea of like, what if I got the Hand of Vecna? Wouldn't that be a funny character upgrade, huh?
Just don't get the head.
However, I don't want to have 6 fingers on my hand though.
Yeah, just don't get the head by Vecna. That's not fun.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Vecna seems like a pretty cool guy though.
I think, yeah,
Seems pretty chill.
I think he will fuck you over at any point, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a god. What god wouldn't do that?
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. Vecna is certainly a fun villain.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're getting, though I want to rein this in just slightly.
Please do, yeah.
Oh yeah. Please do.
We don't really have a structure for this episode.
No, we do not have a structure,
No.
and it's okay for us to like talk about. But now we add, is Vecna a cool dude? I think that's a bit removed from
That's
like
true.
the
We'll get
advice.
back into it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, Emery and I have talked quite a bit. Drake, do you have good DM advice we can think of?
So this is something I encounter with a lot of new GMs. They write a lot of stuff down. Expect to not use 80% of it.
Oh yeah.
This is just something I encounter repeatedly, and it's the best bit of advice I can give you. Sure, you came up with 20 well-detailed, awesome NPCs. You might use 4 of them. Like, that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
People keep encountering this over and over again. Like, in something that's more storyteller-driven, like Vampire, yeah, that's going to happen there, too. And the key is, you got to take that step back and go, hey, I didn't use this Bruja here, who is this cool, badass biker, because they never followed that thread. Maybe he can just show up later. And that ties into another suggestion of mine. Steal shamelessly, even from yourself. Do it constantly.
Yeah, I have 2 things to add to this. The first is, if it didn't get used, you can always use later. Again, that's exactly what Trick just said. And the other is never crowbar it in.
No,
because you really liked it so much. That's railroading. No one likes railroading. And actually, the third thing I just thought of is, if you, God damn it, it's so warm that I actually lost it again.
Okay.
The long-term goal with all of this is to kind of realize what you might not even need to write.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Exactly.
the more you can like intuit what your party will do next, the better prepared you can be for what they are gonna do next. Like if you like say, okay, there's a big city, what do you do? And then you have to basically write the whole city, technically, because the party could do anything. But if it's clear from the start that the party is gonna want to run this tavern, because that's the kind of short campaign we agreed upon, then you can write a cool story about that tavern. And so subtly guiding things in a way where you can actually put your brain to work on things that will be pertinent to the game. That's an important skill you have to learn over time.
Oh yeah, that's extremely important. I had written an entire campaign at one point. It was like lavishly detailed, etc. I had all this stuff for the city. And I get completely derailed because the dwarf ranger went and slapped a prostitute. Like, that's just
It
going to
happens,
happen.
Be like
It's
that.
just going to happen.
Yeah.
So it turned into basically a Grand Theft Auto game in the D&D town. So,
Nice.
that will happen, and you just got to roll with it. So that 80% of what you wrote, it's not like you're going to throw it away. You're going to use it again later. All the details that I came up with later with that in that moment, you used them later, but you didn't use them there at the moment. Eventually, they went on the archaeology adventure that I had planned, but it took a while, and that's fine. It should always be fine.
I think you should spend your time writing evergreen content rather than writing specific content. You know?
Yep, that's what it
Because
comes down to.
creating content or creating a town, right? That town is your town forever.
Yes.
You get to just
Precisely.
use that over and over and over and over again.
Yep.
You don't have to stop using it.
Yep. Like,
You
and
get to know everybody there. You get to know the map. You get to know what these people are going to be doing. You understand the businesses around there. I tend to write a lot of stuff about economy and a lot of stuff about like troop movement and all of that stuff, because that to me is what makes the world go around. You know, how people interact with each other and how these massive socio-political and socioeconomic systems interact with each other. That is the world. That is society. That's how it works. So to me, that stuff is really important. But you might not care, right? You might not give a shit. Right,
Yeah.
like you might be doing some Tolkien stuff where it's like it's more about the theme rather than the actual setting, you know, where it's like the setting exists, but you know, like nobody cares about trade agreements between Gondor and Rohan. Nobody gives a fuck, you know.
No.
You exist. Go fight the bad guy. But that might be what you do. However, understanding your setting, understanding your tone, understanding what you like to write, and then writing that
Yes.
evergreen content based on that is really important.
that is also a thing
And
I would like.
there's absolutely no excuse. Not excuse. Sorry, there's no substitute for experience.
Yes.
There's
There's
just- you
also
just have to do it.
there's also no substitute for just if you know something. For example, you are really good at knowing what a castle should look like because you studied that for your history course, for example.
Oh yeah.
Then by all means put that knowledge in your game, and also put the extrapolations you can make about how future castles might look like once we have, I don't know, super laser guns.
Oh yes.
Into your future game, because you know something and you can use your knowledge to your advantage, and you should, because any detail you put in there that makes your setting not be a generic fantasy town or sci-fi town, whatever, is gonna pay dividends 10 times over. Laser castles, exactly. Like, because if you can be like, yeah, but you know, this town, they don't like the bigger town down the river, but you know, they do all their business in lumber, and the lumber floats down the river, so they don't get another business partner, so they have to befriend them to an extent to have money. And then the player's gonna be like, oh, that makes sense. Like, we can't
Also,
really teleport the lumber, so yeah, I guess we have to make sure that diplomat comes back from that got abducted or whatever.
I see a lot of the writing the full city kind of things. I see that pretty consistently, where it's like, oh, I create this very detailed thing for like a conspiracy game or a mystery game or whatever. But the way that I think about this is, you know, if you've ever played BioShock, you don't know every business in Fontaine's Fisheries.
Yeah, you don't care.
But you know the use that Fontaine's Fisheries has to Rapture.
Yep.
You understand it. So, like, understanding the use of the area is more important, because basically every district is going to have a bar, it's going to have a place that people like to eat, it's going to have a market where people get food, right? Like, you don't go halfway across town to get, you know, food. There's no one giant market, and even if there is a giant market, it's not going to serve, like, the slums, you know? It's going to be far and away. It's not going to serve 3 districts over. So just, you know, just make the big thing, generate the big map, and just go with it, and just drop things randomly.
Yes.
You know? Because businesses are placed basically at random, you know, like people talk about demographics and everything like that, but the reality of it is the space available? Yes. Is it big enough to hold the clientele I want? Yes. Okay, good, done. That's it.
Yep.
That is legitimately all that it takes to do that. You know, you don't have to think about like foot traffic and civic planning, and if you can do that in the background, if you can do that in the back of your head, great, awesome. If you can't, don't bother. Don't worry about it. Just don't put like
worry about
3 fucking sushi restaurants next to each other. That's a little bit weird. It happens, but it's weird.
Why is all these Starbucks just on one road?
Yeah, exactly. And then you can turn that into a thing right away. This is Sushi Row. I mean, roll with it.
Yeah, it's weird.
You can do it.
That's also like one of the most important things, and I'm not gonna one-to-one quote him, but it's the thing that Spoonie said back in the day before he went insane. Is if you tell your players, okay, there's 3 sushi restaurants on this road, and you're supposed to like defend the third one from attack. That's your job, and the players like.
Yes.
But what do you mean there's 3 sushi restaurants? That's with this town only has 1,000 people in it. Then your strongest weapon is to be like, yeah, weird, isn't it? It's weird that that's like that. I wonder why that's like that. And even if in the moment you don't even fucking know why, because you just said that in the moment, you just made up the sushi restaurant. In that moment, the player will be like, I guess the DM had an idea about this. That's interesting. And you can be like, well, now I just bought myself some time to think of why that fucking is like I said it is. Maybe it's 3 brothers that each that hate each other and are competing to make the best sushi. I don't know. Like, just come up with something after the fact, if you have to. If you didn't beforehand, and just be like, agree with the player. Yeah, it's weird. You don't really know why it would be like that, and you can do that for anything. Like, it can be like, why would the wizard tower teleport every other day to a new place? And you don't know, but it does seem weird. Like, you don't really know the magic theory that would allow it to do that. Like, it's too big to be teleported normally. Something must be up. And even if you don't know, fine, you have time to think of something. And if you do know already, it's still a good idea to be like to validate the player and their thinking, because you want your players to think about your setting. And be like, you wouldn't know why, or you can't know why, or you don't know why, or you'd roll too bad to know why one of all of this can apply. But maybe you'll find out later.
Wags, this is exactly what happened with William. Yes, and something you need to remember, something you need to know. Players will naturally create a katamari of NPCs and friends that they like to roll together. And that is why, by the way, that's why I play with factions. That's why I play with basically city building or castle building, town building rules. That's why I have always done that since fucking AD&D, since pre-AD&D, because players like it. If you introduce a cool drow guy with a silver hand who fights with a psychic lightsaber, your homeboys are gonna want that dude instantly. They're gonna be like, I love him. He talks like Yasuo, give me him. He is so grungy and weird, grab, right? Oh, there's a cool guy with a big mustache and he's really chill. Yep, that guy's captain of my guard. Yeah. Like, that's players are going to do that, and giving them a repository for that is a great idea, I ran a Star Wars game for many, many years, and again, I've talked about it a billion times. However, that game was very strange because early on, I had 3 players. I had one player who wanted to play a Jedi right off the bat, because of course they did.
Of
However,
course.
the player couldn't make it. So what I did was then I retrofitted that character back into a lot of backstories and made it just about going to go get that character. However, very early on, we noticed a problem. Ship had 2 guns. They had 1 person to use the guns. So, very easy, just drop a mercenary who's a big, lovable, fluffy dude, because everybody in Star Wars likes having a big guy.
Yeah.
Big, fluffy dude's pretty great, and this one's purple. Look at him. Look at how great he is. So, having that guy there, acting as a bodyguard for another weaker player character who wasn't as great in combat, but just giving them the opportunity, hey, you now have this big meat shield that hangs out with you, and he also shoots the ship guns. Because that character is playing an engineer, or that player is playing an engineer, so they don't get to do anything during the ship combat other than, okay, Foka, it's your turn. What are you gonna do? Shit, I've already used my emergency repair action. I can't do it again. I guess I'll tune the shields or do whatever. And then it's like, all right, sick. Now it's Bo's turn. So what's Bo doing? He goes right after you. It's Bo's gonna shoot at these 3 TIE fighters, whatever. Like that, allowing players to take control and take agency of these people that they've collected is kind of a necessity because that's what they want to do. I actually initially thought in the William fight I was going to just give control over to Bruce. because that works. If William shows up at any point, I'll just give
Yeah.
William to somebody else.
I think in the first fight I wouldn't have liked that, but now if William ever shows up again, yeah,
Okay, he's chilling now.
Bruce tamed that. Bruce basically tamed him and healed him. Like,
Yeah.
let's go. It's gonna be on Bruce's end. Bruce gonna control him.
Big
yeah,
rat.
sure. Big rat.
Yeah.
Rat.
Like, I completely agree with you. One of the things you have to keep in mind, though, is you can't just have the infinite entourage of 10,000 NPCs. They usually have to have a reason as to why only a certain number can help the party at a given time. It can be, for example, a Star Wars game. Yeah, that guy's on Tatooine. We are not, so we can't really help us.
Oh, yeah, the end of that whole shenanigans was, they got a mercenary 2 sessions after they picked up that Lasat mercenary. My German bud joined in, and he played, which, God, I love this character. A German comes to me and goes, I want to play a stormtrooper captain. Who left the Empire.
Nice.
And so he's an officer in the Imperial military who sounds exactly like a jackboot would.
Oh no. Yeah.
Oh god, he sounds so threatening. I loved that character's nemesis, by the way. I wrote an Imperial what do you call him? Investigator who I tried to get as close to Hans Landa as I possibly could because I loved those two dudes bouncing off of each other. I thought it was very strong. But anyways, yeah, the energy of Till Schweiger being a stormtrooper captain is probably the coolest thing I've ever heard. But anyways, that made Bo really redundant because now we have another guy for the guns, and then furthermore they went and grabbed an old clone captain because they're like, we just like him. This is our funny old guy with a bad knee. This is our grandpa.
Yeah.
He's with us now.
Yeah.
And it's like sick. So Bo now has very little to do, because he's an NPC and he was just there to bodyguard this other small character. And now we also have this clone grandpa running around. So it's like, what's going on, right? Ship gets attacked. Those 2 guys will probably handle it. They're just there, right?
Yeah.
Guys with guns. Now you just have like a whatever entourage. It doesn't matter if they've got nothing to do because they're NPCs. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Who cares what Chewbacca's doing? And that's really what I'm gonna say. Just who gives a shit what Chewbacca's doing? Your NPCs do not matter. It doesn't matter what they're doing, right? Unless they're an active participant.
Yes. That
Exactly.
is another thing we should get into.
And if they're active, give them to a player.
Yeah. For the most part, if it's allies, I agree. And if you're writing a story, don't write from the idea of, okay, the evil archvizier is gonna take over the country from the king, and that's your story. No, make up a reason why the archvizier wants it to do that first,
Yeah.
and maybe make that more interesting than, he wants power though. Like,
Yeah.
there must be baggage to this kind of thing, and it must end with the party understanding. Not agreeing with, but understanding why your bad guy would do that.
Yes,
'Cause
that's
the thing
very
is, it's not
important.
interesting that the vizier takes over. It's interesting. What does he want to change? What does he want to do? What does he want to accomplish? What's his political philosophy? What does this guy want to do? Right?
Yeah.
Is he gonna take over and then install a parliament underneath him?
Yeah.
Yeah, is he going to
what's the
establish
shtick?
democracy? I mean,
Is he gonna be an autocrat that happens to have parliament for everyday decisions? Okay.
Yeah.
Is he better than the monarch
is
who
it
had
maybe
unchecked complete power?
is it maybe the case that a lot of the up and coming rich people in town actually really like that because now they have the power in a lot of their affairs, and meanwhile the vizier doesn't really care because his plan is, I don't know, come up with it yourself. But if your story can only have so many layers as you give it, so do give it that. And your bad guy needs to have motivation that makes it understandable. I will talk about a campaign I ran for a long time.
Yeah.
Go grab
And
another
it
cup of
wasn't-
coffee, by the way.
Exactly a super complex motivation in a sense, but it was the motivation that character went with, and then everything else radiated out from that. There used to be we all know what the Blood War is. That is the lower planes in D&D fighting each other because they hate each other. And so,
Man, I love the Blood War.
Yeah,
too.
invading the upper planes is hard, so we're gonna fight each other first because we also hate each other, right? So
Yep.
in my backstory that I wrote for the world that we would be playing in, the blood war spilled over into one of the primes. Because of, well, a lot of powerful people have like they made pacts with demons or devils, and they summon them, and then things go very much out of control, and the world's nearly destroyed by a bunch of demons fighting each other as they encounter each other because they hate each other so much, and things are bad. And then, well, a bunch of people basically make major wizard-style walls and weather the storm and fight out this blood war until they manage to banish it from there. However, in all that, one plucky wizard lost his family. And he hated that because his family was very important to him. And so he, for the next 200 years, made a lot of headway into studying time magic in order to go back in time and roll that all back. And turns out you need a lot of power to do that. You need a lot of magical energy to just be able to go that far back, because there's a lot of decisions you have to undo.
A whole bunch of magic rats for that, you know?
Yeah, a lot of them. And so, yeah, that campaign boiled down to the players being basically unable to decide if they should even stop this guy.
Yeah.
Because if he gets to do what he wants, which is go back in time before the blood war and just kill all the assholes who are summoning demons and devils, then, well, we might not exist. We as people might not exist, but literally millions of people get saved.
Yeah.
And the thing they landed on as a party ultimately was, yeah, but we don't know if it will work. And he's about to kill. He's about to kill everyone we know.
Yep.
with his siphoning powers. So maybe we can't let him just hope. We can't just hope that he does it. We have to try and stop him. And that was a cool ending to the campaign. I will never tell them if he could have done it.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that was
you
nice.
can never give that information. Like
No, never.
No, either you show what happens when the villain's plan works, which, by the way, I highly suggest let your villain win.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let the villain win if it's reasonable. Don't just power of friendship it. If the dice don't work and the story doesn't work, the villain can win. Your setting's not over.
No.
Which is why I guess there's a huge piece of advice here. Don't make the end goal or the ending be too big.
Yep.
Especially in any form of fantasy game, don't make it that they're going to activate a MacGuffin and nuke the world unless that's going to be a nice addendum to the story and move things forward, right? Making things too big is a thing I see a lot of people do, and actually because I see Pi in chat, I'm going to pick on Pi very specifically because I adore you, Pi. There is a drive to replicate what you've seen, and a lot of that is big epic fantasy campaigns, but the reality of running when you're new is that you have a very small view of the world. And if you're going forward with these massive stories, you don't really have the entertaining gravitas yet. Right? You don't understand how big things can get, and you don't understand how players are going to interact with the world yet. So starting small is the best thing you can do.
Oh yeah,
that's why I highly suggest people read Conan the Barbarian and those like pulp novels, because it is vital that you understand how small scale things work, and then you can build out from there. Because I can guarantee your players are going to find so much more enjoyment out of how does this small town work or whatever, versus like, well, can we beat the Dragon Lord? Most people are not going to care all too much about the big thing unless you give them context.
Right. To talk just really briefly back to my campaign and to echo what you said, that obviously fighting the super wizard who is about to destroy your world to make the old one come back is a big honking set piece of a battle at the end, right? But that was the culmination of I think 7 years of play, and I mean weekly sessions. Oh,
Yeah.
7 years. So it's like 300 up to 300 sessions, something like that. Like minus someone is on vacation or whatever. And
Yeah.
that is enough time to warrant that kind of fight. But yeah, that's what you have to be
Yes.
prepared for. And it's a lot of hours you have to DM to be able to get that kind of payoff. And
Oh, yeah.
before then, yeah, that is the thing. I've always heard, like if there's like a commission to decide about the allocation of money for a nuclear plant, for example, that commission is likely to spend as much or more time on the parking lot as it is on the nuclear power plant, because in that commission you might have the thing is, in that commission you might have like a physicist who understands what the power plant does, and that's about it. There's 4 bureaucrats there who can only be like, oh, that guy says it's this, that, I guess that he's right, but everyone is going to have an opinion about the parking. And in much the same way, everyone is going to be interested in, oh yeah, that the smith, why does he only have one arm? That seems like a big handicap. But he's a really cool guy though, once you get to know him. And he just makes it work, like by stomping, by holding it with his footers standing there with his iron reinforced boot.
That's fucking Chad.
And-
That is Chad. I love that dude already. That
See?
dude's radical.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
gonna be more of that's gonna be an immediate connection I'm making. That's interesting. That's cool. I want to talk to that dude. And
Oh,
that's and that is how you fill the day to day with.
And Nora, you talked about a thing with the game I've been running now, because I mean a big part of my setting is that it's post-war and it's like 10 years post-war. But you guys meet a lot of veterans because most people served. So you'll meet people who have knee braces, or they're missing fingers, or they have this or that, or their back hurts, or just like they've got these problems or disabilities or traumas. But like that's not a thing for the player. Like it doesn't matter. The only reason it's there is because it should logically be there.
Yep.
These people have engaged in the world, and that's what makes the world feel alive, right? You know, you don't have to go into a bar and see a guy with a ruby eye and an iron hand, and he's got this robe of stars. Like that's not going to care. People are going to care about the weird old dude in the corner who's got like a kind of like a weird scar on his head. They're going to be like, what's going on with that scar on the head?
That's an important another thing. It's the cool thing is usually not going to be the thing you think is cool.
Oh,
Yes.
They don't give a shit.
Just I point you no further than fucking William to realize that, because William derailed the whole session with it was just a fat mangy rat.
To be fair, he's a really big rat.
Yeah, he's a really big rat, but it's still like we were meant to kill that rat as it comes out of that room.
Yeah.
But because we just shut the door because it's a fucking rat, we don't care.
And there was nothing in there that mattered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Party will always go for the little goblin drinking his juice.
Yeah.
True,
People
true.
love
Always.
little goblins.
Yes.
Go no further than Lost Mine of Phandelver yet again. Spoilers for Lost Mine of Phandelver. There is a goblin called Droop. He is a goblin
Droop.
with
Yep.
droopy ears, and he is a little fucking critter. And you meet him where a bunch of bugbears are literally kicking him and making him like lick the dirt off the floor. They are like bullying and like beating this small goblin. The party will love Droop every time because he is a cowardly little dude.
Yeah, you have to have a fucker like me there who's gonna be like, nah, it's a goblin. I'm gonna
Not
cast
the goblin kill him.
I'm gonna cast Fireball. But yeah, usually that's true. And I'm but that is me being also like a forever DM. I can smell these situations. I like to go against them a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, to respond directly to Wags there, Robe of Stars guy screams out of your league. I've subverted that in the past with, it turned out he was wearing a bathrobe that was covered in stars, not an actual robe of stars. And that turned into one of my better NPCs in one of my long-running campaigns.
Actually, great way. I think reading One Piece is a great way to fix the out of your league problem, right? Think about this right now. Go, anybody who has not looked into One Piece, go look up Silver's Raleigh. That is one of the strongest dudes in that setting. He hangs out in a Hawaiian shirt and fucking like capris and flip-flops.
Yep.
Yeah.
He is just chilling because he's retired. He doesn't care.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have to make the coolest dude ever. Just make somebody who's vibing, man, and then
Yeah.
they'll whatever power they've got. That's their business, right? And power is relative to the story, by the way. I love when people refer to like power only in universe because it has to be relative to a story. So it sounds like anime shit. Like you can be like, who's the most powerful character in The Wire? Relative to that setting, yeah, some people do have greater powers.
Is it
don't they?
wait? Is it one of the judges?
Oh, maybe. Usopp has the best journey in One Piece. You're right. We're off topic, but you're right. The party road
Yeah.
is often the strongest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because usually because the rogue.
Ooh, Ranger. Sorry.
Uh,
Stack too many spells.
Oh yeah, true. But yeah, those the kind of the classes where you have to think more outside the box to keep your relevance, kinda.
That's going to be stronger, yeah. I play a
Yeah.
lot of Rangers just because of that. I honestly suggest that more people experiment with what they can do, either as a player or as a GM, right? Push limits, limit test.
Oh yeah.
Limit test all the time. I think every
Always.
session should have at least one great test of either your limitations as a storyteller or a designer.
Yeah.
I think you should try to push yourself every time to get something done. You know, not even like push the story forward, right? But like, can I design this, right? Or very early on when I did Gravesford. Gravesford is a town written by Matt Colville for his own nonsense, and I just dropped it into the middle of one of my favorite political squabbles I've ever written. But in that, I wanted to sell the dark fantasy and the weird folk tale setting that I run. So I was looking and trawling through, like, what kind of monster do I want to do? Well, it's a farming town. It's got a lot of wheats. It's got scarecrows. How can I design Fiddlesticks from League of Legends as a D&D monster? Because I want to make it a weird teleporting scarecrow that fears people. And I think I succeeded. That design was really tight.
Oh yeah, I
That
saw
design
that
was
fight.
really solid.
I
Yeah.
saw that fight. It was good.
So when it comes down to it, always try to limit test, man, and try to push yourself as much as you can, because what will burn you out more than anything is doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, completely.
What is going to be better for you, right? Sitting in a cubicle for 9 hours a day, or base jumping, right? Like if you can base jump.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. But don't do it every day.
Don't do it every day, because then that's the new normal.
Yeah. Do something
Base jump
different.
one day, drive the autobahn next day.
Yeah.
Skydive the next.
I have another thing for like setting, writing, and stuff.
Go for it.
Yep.
Totally
Let's go.
do have your 4, 5, 6 different factions that are of note to the story, that influence stuff, that all technically could maybe win in whatever way counts as a win for them. But
Yeah.
don't tell your players about them. Holy fucking shit. The players have to earn this information. Like, obviously, there's going to be that, okay, the king is there, and he's probably, like, has an agenda. And then everyone knows there's the wizard lord over in the north who hates the king. But what is the agenda of the wizard lord? Who fucking knows? And also, there's, like, the Thieves Guild, because there's always a Thieves Guild, and what's their plan? And then also, is there, like, a bunch of assassins? Who are they working for? What about this weird fleet of ships that's suddenly around in the area? Who pays them? If you like give too much information out first and early, you're killing the mystique of your setting.
Go
Like,
play New Vegas.
Yeah.
Like, go
Yeah.
play New Vegas.
Go
Yeah.
play New
That's
Vegas.
the best thing. That is the best way to learn factions and how to reveal them organically.
Yep,
Like
yep.
every single character has an opinion on any of the factions that you might meet, but like people in Good Springs don't know who the fuck the kings are.
yeah.
Nobody knows who the kings are, but people in Freeside do, and they have strong opinions of the kings.
Yeah.
Like that's where like keep it relative, keep the influence to where it needs to be, and if you have major factions, then give those the gravitas or the weight that they deserve, right? Like I think about the two that you're stuck between right now in terms of like a French analog and like a kind of a Welsh or English analog, and it's like, well, these two are sitting across a borderlands. There has already been a war on that same border 10 years ago. And everybody is waiting for that second shoe to drop and for it to kick off again. And then a whole bunch of mercenaries come in and take over a fort that's in that borderland.
Yeah.
there's always an inciting incident, and I believe that the player should often be that inciting incident.
You know what I love about that? Reese is
What's
such
that?
a little shit that he doesn't even know that there was a war still. I mean, I heard
Probably
that,
not. Yeah, he
I
doesn't
mean,
care.
I mean, I will rephrase. He doesn't know, but he does not care, and he does not care about repercussions. That's just his house, and
Yeah,
he
it's
will
his
get
vibe.
it back.
Yeah.
Further problems are going to be further problems down the line. Thank you very
That's
much.
not my business. Yeah. And that will be a down the line problem. Only the big power players in one setting should be aware of the threat that is Milk Baby. That's true.
True,
That
yeah.
is a planar
Yep.
threat. Only the greatest of wizards
Yeah.
should know this.
Milk
Yes.
Baby,
And they should be working to stop him now.
yeah, Milk Baby is kind of like the what was the Lavos from Chrono Trigger? It's just in every timeline. You can fight him at any point, but he's basically a force of nature.
Yes.
You get the lava scream that like, and there's like a lake of milk. It's like the end of Evangelion.
Yeah, so,
And it's
Yes.
this massive, like, fleshy Akira baby, like, coming out of it.
yeah.
Oh, it's fucking radical. That'd be such a great. That's an outer god to fight.
Yep.
That's powerful. I love that.
There we go.
Huh.
I love Milk Baby. Gotta have a Milk Baby reference.
Okay. Do we have more pointers / ideas / advice?
I mean, we always do.
We do,
There's-
yes.
Do
There's a
honestly.
lot.
I'm asking
Like,
you
what do we-
guys because I've just talked a lot.
Yeah, it's all good. I've also talked a lot. Speaking of Ava, half wanna run Lancer, you should full wanna run Lancer. Lancer is one of the best written systems I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Crazy good.
we're
It's the
definitely
best
gonna
mecha-
do that one in the
Best
future.
mechas. Absolutely. I
I
have
would
my
love
copy.
I would love to do Lancer. I never read it, but I heard good things.
Yeah, it's absolutely the best. It's the only mecha game I've ever seen that actually gives pilots and mechs equal footing. Where
Yeah.
both of your, both what your pilot can do and what you're actually piloting matter.
Yeah,
And
showing
I
my-
think that's awesome. Plus, they
showing
have
my-
one of the best digital tools I've ever seen.
Yeah, showing my ass on stream is like I played BattleTech, and BattleTech isn't a good system, but it is BattleTech. It's fun.
Yeah, it's BattleTech.
Yeah, it works.
It does what
Yeah.
it
I
does.
played Mech Warrior tabletop ages ago.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty good. I like Mech Warrior.
But that gives me MechWarrior, yeah, but BattleTech plus MechWarrior kind of thing. Like you would use the BattleTech roots for the fighting and then MechWarrior for the rest. And
Valid.
that brings me to an important thing. If one of
Yes.
your players, say you're playing BattleTech, if a player's like, I want to play the mechanic, and everyone else at the table is gonna be a MechWarrior, then be like, are you sure? You're gonna have a boring ass time for like whole sessions because we're gonna have mech fights. You will be able to do nothing. Are you fucking sure you want to do that? Like there is a small subsection of players who actually do want to do that. A lot of players, if you pointed out that succinctly, way like, dude, you know that we're gonna be there's gonna be a whole evening where we have a map here, and there's gonna be like 6 mechs on it, and we are gonna just shoot rifles at each other, shoot LM20s, and you are gonna be at home doing nothing except tallying up how much money it's gonna cost to repair these things. Are you prepared to play that and be a fourth of your gaming sessions, if not more? Like a lot of the time, you have to tell
Some players
players. Some players like that.
Yeah.
Many players think they like that and don't like that actually.
Yeah, and then they get actually super bored.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Man, it always comes back to One Piece for me. God, I think it's great. But anyways, in terms of party dynamics, like if you're making characters, make a character that's active, right? Like every member of the crew should have I would say an active role and a passive role. I think having both of them is really important. Like what are they doing when they're not active during the session? What are
By
they
all
doing
means,
when they are,
My solution to this, by the way, was the guy who really was adamant about this. Well, he said you can do that, but you will also have to man the artillery.
That's
And
actually
then-
really solid.
and then
that's really strong.
The next I said like target painting equipment to be able to say, okay, let's shoot a big effing rocket at this mech next turn, and then that would happen. And that way, that player got to roll dice and feel important, and still be the mechanic.
I think it's that's about like controlling player expectation and trying
Yeah.
to like ask really. A lot of players. This is gonna sound really strange. A lot of players want to play monsters and they don't want to play monsters. Like they don't want to do it. They want to be a human plus. Like that's what like a lot of those things are. Like I want to play a Minotaur, but it's like like a Minotaur's big, right? Like I don't like the player rules for Minotaurs now because they're too small. Like I like the challenge of like if you're large, you don't fucking fit You don't fit anywhere. But players don't want to have those challenges. They don't want to learn about squeezing. They don't want to be shunned in town because they're a minotaur, and that's scary.
Yes.
Right? And that's a common thing. That makes sense.
In Trek's current game, I am a how tall was I? I think
You're a big shark, literally.
I think I am 11
You're a
foot
fucking
11.
street shark?
I'm an 11 foot 11 tall street shark artificer.
Let's go!
And
You fight street sharks!
We are in a hobbit town. I fit nowhere except the tavern that's built to normal specifications for all races.
That's awesome.
And I love it. But yeah, you have to.
Awesome, man.
Yes,
Oh my god,
awesome.
I fucking love that. Wags, it's why you'll never be able to play a mermaid in tabletop RPGs. Oh, yeah, you can.
No, you
Totally
can't.
could, yeah. That's
Yeah.
something you have to work with the DM about a little bit, but that's not that hard
Wags.
to do.
You
Yeah.
were not around when I looked into the weird One Piece tabletop nonsense that a bunch of people made. They have a really, really good mermaid that's really fun. They're really slow. They're like a third of the speed, but they swim really fast.
Yeah.
They're really
you
fun.
go.
I like that idea. But anyways, I think a lot of that is down to like I think people's settings are very, very samey. I do think that like
Yes.
people don't vary what they do a lot.
I cannot
really don't.
I cannot wait for Trek setting to come out because literally one of the things we have been doing. Is it okay if I talk about the Trek before I?
Please, and I
Okay.
will of course speak
Yeah.
as well at length.
Yes.
But go on.
I am gonna without revealing too much. One of the big players in the current adventure is the chicken god.
Yes.
Who we got to meet. Well, it's an AI of Colonel Sanders.
Literally.
That's incredible. That's
Yes.
incredible.
Because we
Literally
a
is.
post-apocalyptic game.
Yeah. Yeah. And literally, I took one of the. It was like a really bad art piece of his face, and then I added one of those like Fallout. What is it called? Line
Filters?
screen things.
Filters.
Yeah,
Oh my
filters
God, he's
over his
fucking-
face, and then use that for his image. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Please send that image to chat. I need to
Yeah.
see this.
Let me see that.
I can
It
put
should
that
be
up.
hot Colonel Sanders. It should be the fucking Colonel Sanders like
Oh,
Mike.
they have not met his androids yet.
Let's go!
No.
Yeah, we met one of them.
That's incredible.
They met one that was kind of was like the Ryan Gosling's character
Yeah.
from Blade Runner. Was
Yeah.
it 2049?
Drake's
Yeah.
game is really about stealing. In one instance of an earlier campaign, Drake introduced us to the prophet or the oracle of their setting.
Yes.
It was literally Alex Jones.
I love that. Oh, that's
And
really
and
strong.
one of the
It's so good.
and one of the big story arcs about that game was that someone was turning all the frogs gay, which in that setting does mean that it's all of the lizard people and assorted frog people were turning gay, including all the slut, and
Yep.
and that's a problem.
Yep. Yep. They were killing all the slod because of it. Yep. And the slod had a huge problem with it. Yep.
Drake, what the fuck?
Yep. This is where I go. I go hard.
D&D. What is this?
Like, and here's my point about it. This sounds like it's city garbage, kind of. But if you make it work, if it works as a it works as a thing for your characters, because your characters don't know who the fuck Alex Jones is.
Yeah. Your characters don't know. You have no clue.
and
This is some
so-
guy from Earth. What's Earth?
Yeah. Oh, here's the colonel.
Was it actual Alex Jones?
Yes.
Yes. So the meta of it is that the character was somebody from parallel universe who realized what he was saying was absolutely right because it was a Planescape game.
Yep.
So everything I was saying was actually true about interdimensional demons. And then he met the interdimensional demons. And he realized the blood war was real. And it just went from there.
Yeah.
That's why he was the prophet.
Oh God, that fucking image is
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I wasn't even
Yeah.
looking at my screen. I look over, I see Colonel Sanders. Oh my God! But yeah, like, and even by the way, you don't have to get super crazy. You don't have to.
You don't.
No, you don't.
you never have to.
But this is
It's wild. So
that-
like, I run a very normal. I run a quote unquote very normal setting, because that's the stuff I like talking about. I like talking about fantasy and why we tell
Yeah.
these stories.
But-
Like a big
Oh, yeah.
part of like the thematic
Yes.
weight of my stories is about heroism and what that means and what that what is the hero contrasted to who the person is, right? Is
yeah.
heroism something innate? Is it something that's perceived? Like this and people's perspectives on this, because people tend to play heroes in D&D. Like
Yep.
that is something that's very interesting to me, which is why I create characters who are obsessed with heroism in the past. Like there is a villain that has been mentioned. I don't know if he's a villain actually. I don't know if he's. But like he's the equivalent to like an SPQR guy. He is obsessed with the past. He's obsessed with imperialism. The dude absolutely loves his country. He's hyper nationalist. And like I like to ask that question, like, well, is that guy a hero in terms of like his people? His people love him. They think he is.
Yeah.
What if you're not from there? Like
Yeah.
what does that, what does being somebody of import matter,
Yeah.
That's why I have an obsession with Homelander. I watched
yeah.
The Boys all the way through, and I
Oh, yeah.
loved Homelander. He's my favorite character in that show.
He's very
because
good.
Oh, yeah.
that question is entirely about heroism and perceived celebrity and personality behind that. Like what I like asking what matters.
Yeah,
And
Yep.
that's why I like Reese, by the way. But
Yeah.
like finding that it is more important to me to have those like major thematic literary elements in what I run. Versus trying to make a thing you've never seen.
yes. But here's the thing, and I'm just saying, yes, 100% valid, because you like that. You're gonna make the best game you can talking about that.
Yeah.
And if I like to talk about different things, I should make that game. You should never be
Exactly.
constrained by your placement, but can't we play like in Faerun? I want to play in Faerun because I heard about Faerun. Like, no, if you are the DM, sometimes you have to put your foot down and be like, nope, we're doing what I like to do. And
This is cracked. I've asked people, why do you want to play in Faerun? Because like I always ask this question. What about Faerun do you like? What is that? What is the thing you like? A lot of people really like Eberron because they're like, oh, I like the halfling raptor riders, like whatever. It's like, okay, yeah, there's that. I get why you like that. And something like that may be incorporated, but give it a shot. I remember I had a player talk to me. He had played with TSR employees a lot, and he was like, and he wanted to run in Greyhawk. And I said, well, I don't tend to run in Greyhawk anymore. I don't run in Blackmount either. But so why do you like Greyhawk? And his interest was, he liked the village of Hamlet. He liked the idea that Mordenkainen was there, and he liked the idea that those long-standing characters had continued across multiple games because he'd played with those guys for a long time. And I said, well, that still exists.
Yeah,
that's still like there,
yeah.
That setting detail is always there in my games because I think that's a great amount of respect that you have on people who have come before you. So like that, those kind of things can often be superficial. That huge advice. Ask players why they want to do the thing.
Yes.
I want to run in this system. I want to play Call of Cthulhu. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to play Call of Cthulhu? Do you just want to play a cool, fun detective game? Cool. Does anybody else want to play that right now? Do I want to run that? Maybe not. Maybe you need to be the Call of Cthulhu guy.
Yeah.
And yes,
You don't have to run the longest Call of Cthulhu game
No.
ever, but
Nah,
but here's one thing you have to realize as DM a lot of the time. You have the power to run whatever the fuck you want, and for the most part, the players are gonna have to follow you because otherwise there's no game.
Yeah.
This has always been true, and it was true when we were at the table physically with friends, because usually they don't want to run the game, and you have to. At least that's my experience. So I get to decide what we play then, at least in general terms. And it is true as well now online, except that it's now easier for people to like go to what they want and do what they want to do. But that only means you have to find the people who are vibing with what you want to do anyway. And it's probably going to be the best time like that anyway.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, communication is key. We have talked about that a lot.
Oh yeah.
Okay, why do you want
really
to do
have to.
this? Why do you want to be an evil character actually? And can we maybe not do that because it doesn't fit my game? Or if it does fit, can we agree on you won't fuck the party over? because
Yeah,
that
what
is
are the bounds of your evil?
Yeah.
What do we,
because I don't want to deal with that. Or even if I do, might be okay with dealing with that. Like the party won't want to deal with that, and I don't want this game to fall apart. And
Yep.
you don't want to actually alienate your friends, do you? Are you that
Yep.
kind of asshole? And if so, do I want to play with you? Important questions.
Probably not. I think that's the deal. I don't know. In terms of communication, it does get. Actually, it doesn't even get hard. It's not hard just to communicate, talk to people. You fucking weirdos.
Yeah.
Like just straight up. There's
just do
so
it.
many people who like sit and brew on whatever, and you just talk. Like just say something. Just say honestly, just say what you feel. Just talk to people and go like, hey, I feel like you're stepping on my character story toes. I really want to make sure that my character narrative is going in this direction, and I feel like you're trying to like Bogart that, my guy. So maybe don't. You know, that's not hard. Just do it. Have confidence. Play up.
Yeah.
Play up.
Yes.
I
Get in
mean,
there.
like, we're all making an agreement. Hey, we're going to be here for 5 to 8 hours at a time, once a week. The least you can do is advocate for yourself too in the process. Like, would you go to the DMV and sit there for 5 hours if you weren't going to get your driver's license? No. So why would you do that in a D&D game?
Yeah.
It's the same thought process.
The DMV would be a good final boss, though.
Yes, it would be a perfect final boss.
A lot of people are drawn to escapism of TTRPGs are often also people trying to escape from the world they struggle with, so if they're lacking social skills. This is true, but that means...
Counterpoint, you must have some form of social skill to play tabletops, and if you do not, you need to find a way to engender a little bit of it. Like you need to grow that. Because nobody is forced. This is a big deal in the tabletop community. Nobody is forced to sit at your table, and no one is forced to have you there.
Right.
So understanding social contracts, getting a little bit of social graces, and a little bit of confidence. These type of social skills are necessary for you to engage.
And here's my cheat code for you, if you like. Okay, but I am the person who is lacking the social skills, and I am kind of struggling with this stuff. But I really want to play D&D. The cheat code you can get into is being like, hey, your character is like the Baron's son the Baron was deposed and he had to flee the castle and shit. Can I be Can I be like your confidant? Your other guy,
bodyguard,
the bodyguard? Can I be the guy that wants to help you do what you want to do? And then you make that character's thing your thing as well.
Yeah.
And their success is your success, and then you won't step on anyone's toes anymore. And if you do, it's going to be two people stepping on toes, so it's going to be like a different dynamic, and it's going to be maybe more excusable, because that fucker over there killed my father. He has to prepare to die now, even if this is bad for the party. Like, you can always make things work in game, and if you explain them well. But if it's just going to be a case of, but my character would shoot the fireball into the melee, then you are the asshole and you shouldn't do that.
Oh yeah, and Wags, the place I come from is somebody who has issues with like NPD and dissociative issues. So like having to deal with those is something that it happens. You know, I used to have a really prominent stutter. I still stutter occasionally, but like, you know, those types of like social ingraces are things that you probably want to already deal with to help with your everyday life anyways. And you know, it's going to be something that's going to help you in terms of this hobby too. You know, it's a benefit. I also just think like, well, one, everybody should be going to therapy in our modern world.
A lot of people throw it,
like, but like working with that, you know, making sure that you can actually engage with the group and you know, that you can be comfortable in that situation. That's a good deal. You know, I think that's something that you should be focusing on.
Yeah. And just again, it's a social hobby, it's a collaborative game. It's supposed to be that.
Yes.
And if you're at the level where you can't understand that, then I'm sorry, it's not for you.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
The only game you will ever find that people are going to tolerate you in is a game of other people who don't care about that. And it's going to be a terrible experience for everyone. So just find a way to not step on other people's toes.
An addendum to that.
Usually that's
if you want to play single player and all you do is step on people's toes, go play video games.
Yeah.
Fucking who cares? Go play New
Yeah.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Go play New Vegas.
Don't do
Yeah,
anything
you'll
else.
get a lot of the experience. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we have hit the point in which a lot of narrative games already give you the narrative. I guess catharsis that you would already have from playing D&D, which that was the only way to do it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now we're at that point where if all you want to do is experience this narrative, you know, you can experience it as a character and it makes it much deeper and
Yeah.
richer for you if you're doing it yourself. But you know, like the same thing about being an actor and getting into a character's head. You know, that is a very enriching experience. But it comes with the caveat of sociality. Like you have to be sociable.
Yes.
But anyway,
You do.
Obviously, it's not the same. Like a game doesn't give you the freedom, but the freedom is also, again, it's contingent. If you have 5 people at the table, on everyone having a good time. So if you can facilitate that, and a lot of that is even as a DM and player being hyped for other people's success, being there for what they are doing well, and doing with them if there's something bad happening to them, which you shouldn't do. Like, okay, this is a bit of but my character though. If your character really wouldn't care, like in character, then in the internal monologue, then you should find a way to care outwardly at least why they would. This is gonna be like you have to think yourself into your own head a lot to find that thing. But it's very easy to not make that character and be like, yeah, Mr. Friendly guy who wants to help and then punch the bad guy. And that is honestly one of the most fun characters you can play. Is a very simple guy who wants to help.
Oh yeah.
And
Like
I always go back to
I'm gonna
that.
be straight up. I fucking love that. That's excellent. Anyway.
it's funny because like the character that I've been playing in one of Nura's weekly games is somebody who was a celestial that was like depowered. That's all she wants to do. She just wants to help people.
Yeah.
And then whenever there's a fight, she's just like, battle, that's what I'm made for. And then she goes in and beats the shit out of people.
Yeah.
That's just her.
I actually
That's it.
love depowered characters. I think those are so fun to play.
Yeah.
They can be a lot of fun. Absolutely love playing her. But she's such a simple person. And there's other aspects to that too. I rationalized, okay, this is a depowered celestial. Well, maybe she didn't really get to go and hang out and eat the food that everybody else eats, that mortals eat. So that'll be a new experience for her. And having that perspective and then combining that with I punch good, you know, you can get so much mileage out of that. So many people want to do something with like, oh, I have these 5 layers of depth to my character. And I'm just like, dude, you're level 1. It's okay to be a guy who wants to punch. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's also okay to just understand your limitations and, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you can always add layers later on.
Oh, yes.
Maybe guy who wants to punch just hasn't met the nemesis yet. And if you had a good idea 6 months into the game, you can always go to DM and be like, by the way, it would be awesome if you could like put a bad guy that's for me. Here's an idea I have. Like this is the backstory I have. I didn't come up with so far, but yeah. And a good DM is going to be like, yeah, awesome, you're giving me something to work with here. Obviously, I'm going to use it. Just give me time. It's not going to be the current arc because that's kind of already running. But we are going this down the line. Just have patience, and then awesome.
I already know who his nemesis would be. Guy who kicks. You know. There you go.
Ooh, guy who kicks is very strong, though.
Oh god,
Yeah.
Guy who kicks has reach over you. That's really bad. Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
True.
Yep. I mean, like, there you go.
yeah.
What's our next category? We've already done our sociality.
We have. We're just shooting
What do we wanna get to?
things.
Did you want me to ramble about the ridiculousness that is my settings at this point?
Sure.
I could get down with a little bit.
I
of that.
love.
What's-
Please.
Okay.
I'm always
I,
down.
All right.
I will say, what is the lesson we need to pull from this?
The lesson that we need to pull from this is don't be afraid to be serious and don't be afraid to be silly.
Right. Don't go hard about what you want to tell.
Yeah, and go hard. Like, either do it or don't do it. Like, you got to do it. Whatever it is that you want to do. Because there's so many people that, like, you know, I want to throw this guy, but I don't really want to hurt him that much. Dude, come on. You're a fighter. You're picking up a giant goat. What do you want to do with that giant goat that you just picked up and threw? I just want to throw him over there. No, commit. Come on, let's go with it. And the reason why I mentioned that is that the very first fight that this group of level 1 characters had was a bunch of demons that were extorting the local village, and there were a lot of demons. And one of the rubs that I did for what I do at my table is I kind of use the rules from 4th edition for hit points. You start with more hit points at level 1. That's like one of the only adjustments. Basic adjustment that I was like, let's try this with 5th edition.
Yep, works really well, actually.
Works so good.
I think
Works
it's
so
solid.
good. But anyway, so yeah, it's just a bunch of low-level demons, and then there was a goat demon, and that's how I always described him over and over again. At one point, I brought up the actual name of the demon, but like since the locals called it the goat demon, everybody just called him that. And then there were a bunch of giant goats with them, and I described the goats as being covered in pustules and so on. And everybody's just like, oh, okay. Well, Trake likes goats, so. Trake's just doing what Trake does. That's cool. That's cool.
Trake do be doing them goats, though.
Oh, yeah. Just normal day in Goat
In
Town.
terms of that like seriousness versus the more kind of comedic elements or the lighthearted elements, I tend to talk about combat a lot because I think a lot of games are focused on combat as a main system of interaction. But like I haven't met a lot of people who do combat the way that I do.
No.
And I don't know why. Because I love the kineticism of fights, and I like what's happening in it, and I like how it interacts with the environment. Like, I loved the bar fight in the beginning of Flint and Reese's story, because that was it was incredibly active, and there was a lot going on. And I tend to have I don't know why I do this. I tend to have an obsession with making people really hurt. Like, I want it to be very punchy, and I want that combat to have ramifications. Or I like the moment after a bar fight where everybody just starts standing up and, crikey, it's the Rosers. They're on their way, Everybody's like, shit, I shouldn't have done this.
Like
Everybody's tired, they're broken down.
Like to have people shout out to Pi at this moment.
Oh, yeah.
Gets it the hardest.
I also narrate more of Nick's. I've narrated more of Nick's injuries for a reason, by the way. There's a thematic reason, because Nick's a guy. Like,
yeah.
The idea that Nick is a regular guy, so Nick gets kicked twice and like knocked into a wall. It's like he's gonna feel that. Reese fucking isn't. Reese won't care. Reese is like heroic dwarf Hercules,
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, true. I get it. No, I agree with you. Even completely.
Yeah. But yeah, like I love speed, kineticism, movement, all that stuff, and I highly suggest making. This is gonna be a suggestion with big asterisk. Pay attention to the big asterisk. The addendum. Yes. Make your fights really gory.
Oh yeah.
Make them really, really gross. I just use viscera, use bones, understand how those things come apart.
Yep.
Understand how people come apart. That's a pretty good idea. And now I'm not saying be absolutely, like Dahmer about it, but like getting hit is not the end of the world. But like, man, understanding how fingers work is probably going to be one of your best assets.
Yeah, the idea.
And continuing to narrate that damage as it accrues on a player character is really solid.
Don't go for Takeshi Miike. No, don't do that. However, also don't be like, you rolled an 18, well, you hit, it does 5, you do 5 damage. Okay, next person.
No, don't do that.
Like, you obviously have to have some sort of explanation, like some sort of description of the kinetic energy of the fight. Yeah. Otherwise, it's gonna devolve into nothing. Like, yeah, it doesn't have to be super long. It doesn't have to be like, if you don't like to go into the gore, that's fine. But you have to give a description. Though that guy, with that hit you just gave him, he pirouettes and just goes down. He's out of the fight. Like he looks like you just knocked him out or maybe killed him. You don't know. You would have to check later. But who cares right now? There's 2 more guys who are attacking you. So let's go.
In terms of the Takashi Miike bit, I'm gonna be real. Each of the killers is a huge inspiration for fight scenes. Damage. But like, I made a joke. When did I last run D&D? On Wednesday, about Sam Raimi, because Sam Raimi, I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
is the best
Mhm.
showing of that, where it's just like it's blood, it's gore, it's dirt, it's grime. It just goes. I think Old Boy is also a really good
Old
way
Boy's
to show
perfect
fist
for that.
fighting.
Yeah.
But like, you know, the amount of gore can be a little comedic. But yeah, like a lot of those inspirations for how fight scenes work
Yeah.
are like I spent a lot of my time fighting as a young kid, and that shit hurts. It hurts. Hitting a table hurts, and all the breath gets knocked out of you, and you take that moment where your head rings and you get back up, and you have to figure out, how do I get my diaphragm working again so that I can breathe. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's not even a thought, it's just something you're doing. But then stuff like Old Boy and Each of the Killer, I think the Kingsman movies have really good kinetic action.
Ooh, yeah, they do.
Oh yeah,
All
They
sorts of
do
stuff.
do.
And Sam Raimi, of course.
Sam
The
Raimi.
dude's crazy. I think
Uh,
Ash vs. Evil Dead has some of the most inventive, goofy action scenes.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Which is more. Of,
Glass.
this is more of lean into what you
Lean into what you like,
what you
yeah.
know and what you like and what you want to do.
hmm
I tend to take a lot of inspiration, as many people claim to. God, this claim makes me very upset. I really like Akira Kurosawa films.
Mhm.
And oh my lord, do people not understand that? People who like or claim to draw inspiration from Akira Kurosawa, not understanding what his works are about, is like probably one of the greatest things that like frustrates me in terms of like the artistic community.
I have put 2 Kurosawa
Kurosawa's
films
pacing is
in my top 10 of all time movies. So yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
don't throw that name out lightly. You're probably not that good.
No, don't do it. I will say though, Kurosawa's pacing has a really solid bit, and I will also throw George Lucas's pacing in there, because I think Lucas's pacing is very similar and really solid. But like, building up to the fight is really important.
Yep.
But remember that like all of like the second half of Act 2 and the first half of Act 3 are going to be a fight.
Yep.
Yep.
Like if you watch Yojimbo and Sanjuro, those films are a lot of build up and a lot of time spent investing in the main character and the town and the problems, and then big fight.
Yep.
Big fight.
Big fight.
I agree. We did derail Drake though, so Drake, please go on about your
Oh, yeah.
thing.
Please go.
It's funny because we bring this up though, because that's exactly the build-up that I did with the party. Was, oh, we see this town. Oh, we see their problems. Oh, they have these very specific problems. Oh, let's go solve these very specific problems. It was almost I wouldn't call it a carbon copy, but definitely inspired directly by all of those old films. But what was I saying? Oh, so yeah, the fight. There were giant goats. Nobody really thought much about it. Oh no, they have pustules on them. I feel slightly bad for these goats. And everything was going fine. The party decided, oh, we're going to use the terrain against them. We're going to spread from this natural tar pit across the road and then cover it up and then light it on fire at some point. You know, stuff like that. Smart stuff. And some of the demons were like, oh god, I guess I have to go around, because of course they're not very intelligent. They're like, what did Marv say about hitmen? You never feel bad about killing them. So demons were attempting to go around, some go through, etc. There's all sorts of chaos going on. The halfling barbarian at one point realizes, oh shit, there's 5 demons around me. How did they get over here so fast? There were lots of little moments like that. And then finally, somebody killed one of the goats. And then it exploded. So then after that point, everyone was like, oh fuck, get the fuck away from me. I don't want to be anywhere near them when they die. Moments like that really help when you're a DM. Having any kind of thing that would be even remotely unexpected. Because up until that point, there were plenty of clues. Hey, there's something wrong with these goats. Hey, these are demons. Maybe they did an experiment on them. And then later on, they discovered, yeah, they were doing experiments on people. They were literally dipping them in Pepsi, Coke, and Mountain Dew, and seeing what happened to them afterwards. And that's they rescued all the townsfolk that were about to be dipped as a result of all that. And I don't know. It's just one of those things where when you go hard, just go hard. If you want to be serious, be serious. If you want to be silly, be silly. And there was a mixture of serious and silly in that fight, and everybody had a really good time.
Yeah,
It was definitely very gory too.
Oh, it was, yeah. That was pretty graphic. Never
Pretty
be,
gory.
yeah. Never be afraid to do any of that. Like again,
Never be
be
afraid to. Like, you can do lots of different things with your setting very easily, but like, I guess like I have a list that wrote out of the things I was going to say, and we'd already brought it up. But like, the setting is an NPC that's always in the room. If it really aids your setting to, okay, well, crap, we encountered exploding goats that demons kept as pets. Cool. Did it add to the setting? Perfect. Is it a product of the setting? Great. Just roll with it.
Yep.
But we've already kind of gone over that one repeatedly, honestly. Then there are other things like the Great Chicken Spirit, which we see on screen here. At one point, I was just like, when I was writing for this campaign, I was like, you know what? What's something that would be utterly unexpected? And I was like, how about like those terror birds, the diatrema? What if those came back? That's cool. That's a cool thought. But what if there was somebody who claimed to be like the god of them? Okay, that sounds cool. What if it's just Colonel Sanders, except an AI? And then I just went with it from there.
yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't know, just follow your inspirations. And that's part of the reason why on my list I write down steal shamelessly. Like, whatever it is, just go for it. If you want to include like a Terminator reference, go for it. I don't care. Just go crazy. I mean, like half the time we're talking about like Dune and Star Wars and Fallout and so on. And it's like, of all of those things, what else are they tangentially related to? Go for it.
Yeah. And the secret about those is, if one of those falls flat, you just don't talk about it again.
Yeah, just
And
don't.
It was just the thing this one moment, and we don't talk about it. But if everyone's like, "Holy shit, the chicken spirit is actually Colonel Sanders. That's stupid awesome. We have to meet him." Then you have created a new thing for the party to engage with, and it just works.
Exactly. And that goes back to my original thing where I said expect to not use 80% of what you write. Because sometimes, even if you use 100% of what you wrote down, maybe 80% of it be thrown out. But that goes back to the, man, this goblin in the corner of the tavern is really cool. Let's go talk to him instead of everybody else.
Yeah.
But I always put in subversions to that too, going back to the Robe of Stars thing. But yeah, like that's the way I play my settings. Is like I don't necessarily take it to the most ridiculous. I just take it to the point of, okay, how would this be like different, but like it could be funny, but then for somebody else they'll take it seriously. And the best example of that was the Evil campaign I ran for you.
Oh fuck yeah. And like to like echo that and add to that, like if you give the people something ridiculous on its face, like again, Alex Jones is the prophet.
Yes.
He knows everything, because that's ridiculous. But to your character in the moment, who hears this and it's like, okay, he's already talked about this and that, and this has come true, and we have a string of evidence that it's indeed the case. Then you have to play it straight with your character, even if you as a player like, oh my fucking god, Drake, what are you doing? And then as you keep playing it straight, it becomes serious.
It does every time. God, I'm trying to. Welcome back.
Many thoughts. Straight up, like in terms of like steal shamelessly, I also have another. I have an addendum to that. It's a yes and also yes but. Not only should you steal shamelessly, but if there is something and a player recognizes that and you didn't intend for it, or I talk about parallel thinking a lot, or parallel creation.
Oh yeah.
It's like we exist in a way. There was the joke last time where it's like, holy shit, I can't let my fucking big ram-headed dwarf god be called Orn, even though I named him that in fucking 2009.
Yeah.
Before Orn was a Twinkle in Riot Games design, the bridge city of Taurus in my in my games, very similar to Zaun and Piltover, but the reason that it takes so much from those is because one of my friends who was like, "Is there a place where like artificers are from? Because I want to be like a gun wizard." I was like, "All right, yeah, there is. It's a bridge city. It's down here. It connects these two continents." And I explained it, and I explained the idea of like that kind of like arcane neon that runs through the city. and the guy was like, "Oh shit, that sounds like this thing from League," and I was like, "What the fuck is League of Legends?" and I was
no,
in
is that-
like 2013, and that's how I got into League.
No!
That was it. No, it's
Oh,
because
wow.
I had written so much of this stuff, and like I run into all of these things where like you don't feel the need to like retool your lore because of all that stuff, because it's like yeah, I like League, I enjoy it, I don't really care if things are similar, because guess what, every setting is a huge grab bag, and every single setting has references to literally everything.
Yes. Like, yeah,
Always.
exactly.
A
Which is-
lot of my stuff for like Kjormaier is very similar to like Final Fantasy 15, because I wrote it fucking 10-15 years ago, and then I was like, oh shit, this aligns with what I like. And I would say think of it that way, and more like, instead of I'm stealing from it, go, well, this is something that is not only inspiring, but it's also similar, or I have a great emotional attachment to it because it's so similar to the stuff I already enjoy.
Yeah. And that's that is the thing, if you steal shamelessly, don't just, for example, let's go back to Alex Jones. If Alex Jones is your prophet, don't also set your game on Earth and make everything else Earth thing. No, Alex Jones has to be in Planescape Torment now.
Yeah, he literally has to be now.
Because that's cool. And then you can throw 20 other things in there that are all cool and work on their own. But but if you put too many things from the same place in there, that's going to feel bad.
Yep. And then you have a scene literally where the Lady of Pain is sitting down talking to Alex Jones. You know, like just that wouldn't have happened any other way if I hadn't been like, well, these two things, what if they collided? And
yes,
but then again, that's like my modus operandi with almost everything. Is just like, let's take 2 to 5 things that are completely different, then have them intersect, and then that's how I usually come up with 95% of my designs. So
oh no, please, that player didn't mean to do a dig at you. Imagine being compared to Naruto.
oh no,
Did you dirty?
oh no.
I did you dirty.
God.
That's awful.
God,
That's so bad.
Fuck
Ellen,
that
though,
show.
brings up a really cool one, stealing shamelessly from music.
Yeah.
Straight up, I think that I make a lot of playlists because I like to listen to music while I write, because of course I do. But like in a lot of what I listen to is exactly the kind of guy that you think I am. I listen to a lot of prog rock and a lot of like Tangerine Dream while I'm writing fantasy because I like that. I think a lot of that like fantastical stuff. Like I talk a lot about how I want my games to look like a Molly Hatchet cover, because that era of like fantasy art is something very inspiring to me, and I don't think we have a lot of that anymore. But like straight up, just like find the genre of your game. You know, if my game is prog rock and yours is heavy metal, go for it.
Yeah,
Like just
that helps a lot.
find the thing that you're inspired by. It can be music.
I knew a
can be
metalhead
anything.
who ran D&D obsessively, and his world was oh my god, I can't even remember. Oh, Brutal Legend. It was like clear Brutal Legend. If that dude would go back now, he would be running Morkborg.
Yeah,
That dude would run Morkborg now, because all he cared about was how metal his setting could be, and it was
Awesome.
fucking awesome. It was so sick.
And here's another
That's
thing.
cool.
Sometimes you put something in just for you.
Oh yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah.
most things are in there just for you.
Yeah. And then one of 10 of those things will get recognized by the player, and then you have a little thing where you and the player know it, and then it's going to be awesome. And if it doesn't get recognized, doesn't
Those are
matter,
my favorites.
because you also, that is steal shamelessly, but also steal in a way that it's not super obvious. Just don't, if you like, okay, if you put the bridge city in, don't make it like exactly like the thing like in
never.
Runeterra, but do put it in because it's cool. Because we can all agree that the bridge city is cool, and then put like 20 references to other things on your bridge city, and if the players spot 2 of them, that gets pretty good. But the other references are still there and are still cool enough for you as the writer of the campaign. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And my original thought for it was like, you know, what if you had fucking a city built around Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was the idea to it.
It all comes
And
back to New
that was-
Vegas.
Yeah.
Does it?
Well, no, not directly. It's not one to one. I'm joking, of course.
Speaking of that, because we were talking about emergent gameplay and emergent narrative right at the beginning, or at least I was.
Yeah.
There's a weird thing of where chaining events together. It's not exactly most players' strong suit because they're not trained to do it yet.
Yeah.
I try very hard to retrain people. Not in a way to like be weird about it, but like to get them to engage with games in a new way that they might not have, right?
Yeah.
Going to like, because I use D&D too much. Let's just go with like if I was running the Fallout tabletop, right? My interest in that setting would be like the 3 points mentality. Like you see a radio tower, you see a low slung building on a hill over there, and over to the west there's a there's like a 2-story kind of panoptic tower. It's got glass all the way around it, or at least it's blown out. It looks like some sort of like watch post or something like that. And you go down the road towards the watch post and you find like a motorcycle and there's a couple of bags strapped to it, but nobody's around. That type of stuff of like a player wanting to go check out that panoptic tower, the player wanting to go up to the radio tower, the player wanting to go to the low slung shack on the hill. That kind of stuff is what I'm interested in, because I like when people play the map and they're interested in what's around them. Like, nothing makes me more bored as a GM than people going forward and just being like, oh, well, I just go to the next town and then we fight the goblin. Where's the next story? That bores me to tears to run.
Yeah, you want to engage your players, but your players also like have to make an effort to be engaged, obviously. Yeah.
But that could just be a gripe with, I think, how like games are being made right now. It is very heavily towards the feed me kind of attitude. It's rough.
To an extent,
It's very strange.
this is actually, I don't like if people blame computer games for players being bad today. But to an extent,
I don't think it's a computer game problem.
No, but here was my point.
Yeah.
To an extent, this one thing is because the players expect a bit too much, in my opinion, sometimes at least, that the story comes at them.
Yeah,
And it will not always do
Yeah.
that.
I agree. I
It
agree,
shouldn't
actually.
always
get
do that.
out what you put in. It really does.
And the idea that you don't have agency in the D&D, nothing could be further from the truth. Like, a good DM will always go with your idea of what you will do. You might die if you're doing something exceedingly stupid.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna fight the Royal Knight immediately because I hate him. This might be a dumb idea, but the DM should allow you to do that and then be like, okay, what's your new character? And let's not do that again. Let's like make it clear, yeah, you can do dumb things, but there's gonna be consequences, and please know that. But if you conversely just do nothing and expect like story to happen at you, then yeah, that might happen, but then don't expect to have agency in it, and that sucks. To me, in my opinion, it sucks to not have agency in a game.
Yeah, and that's. I feel like a lot of GMs are trained now by not only computer games but also modern RPGs and how they're written to kind of market towards, well, it's your setting. You make the whole story, like you do all of it. Like, and even as a narcissist, like as somebody who's crazy and interested in their authorial integrity, like a weirdo, I still want to give players as much freedom as they can, and not freedom in like the, oh, you can do whatever you want, approach the scenario however you want, Far Cry 3, fucking stealth sniper it. Like, no, but like legitimately, you drive your actions, and there are story beats here, and you can go do this, but if you want to go engage with something else, go.
Yeah.
I was talking about this with somebody else about 2 weeks ago, that I want you to be overwhelmed. I want a player to be overwhelmed. I don't want them to have a grasp on everything that they can do.
Yeah.
I want you to go into a town and there being too much to do. And I straight up think that you should do that as a GM, even a new GM. Stock it to the brim. I talk about Phandelver a lot, but you get to Phandelver and there's like 400 things to do. There are like locations to go for. There's map selection everywhere. Like there's a buffet of content for you to deal with. There's so many stories, but start locking them off as they reach their endpoint. You know, if the secret Harper wants you to go get a book, eventually she's not going to talk to you because you've been gone for 2 weeks. Now a rival adventurer has come to town and he got it, and they snapped that quest up.
Yeah,
now it's done.
That's your choice and consequence in that. Also, I should go back to what I said. Obviously, if the player is like, okay, I'm going to fight the King's Guard, and you as the DM like, okay, you're just going to die then, I guess, and let's play that out. That's bad DMing. Yep. You should tell the player, okay, you know that guy is way out of your league. Like he has magic blade, magic sword, whatever have you. Like he's going to kill you in a turn. It's not going to be close. But if the player then is, I'm doing it anyway, then you shouldn't stop them. But there should be a warning. Like you should be, again, communication. Communication is king. You have to go out of step, out of character, out of the moment in game and be like, dude, you're doing a stupid thing right now. Are you sure you want to do this? And if the player is like, then you let them. And then maybe you think hard about, do I want this kind of player in my table? The third time they're doing this. It's kind of dumb. But don't stop them outright in the moment unless you are just so fed up that you're just going to kick them out the table right now. Yeah. For being a dickhole.
I have only ever done that like twice. I think I have only ever kicked somebody out of my table at the table. The
only time I've done it was as a player, which is funny.
Really?
Yeah. because the thing was, this was a new player.
Yeah.
And they were playing a cleric, didn't know how that went. I was like, okay, if I can like tell you how to do the shit, here's how you do your spells, this and that. And I spent some time guiding this guy into making a character that even works in the game. Yeah. And then we started playing, and he would make the most boneheaded moves over and over, being exactly that guy that I just talked about.
Oh my god.
Culminating in going into the haunted forest alone at night with the full knowledge that there's dudes made out of thorns in there who are gonna kill you at a range without a ranged weapon. And then
I'll be fine though.
And then he alone got weirdly got killed by thorns in the haunted forest. And then I was like, okay, I'm not playing with this guy. Either I walk or he leaves. And then DM was like, well, you walk then. I've played with Nora for a few years. I like Nora. And you just did a boneheaded stupid move.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
And I'm sorry, but sometimes it won't work. Like I literally did everything to help that guy make a character, and then just nothing. The character was just gone. And I was like, okay, it's not like this is my character who just died, but I still don't like what happened here. I don't like it at all. So fuck off, man. Holy shit. Why? Oh yeah, Azure, you are cute. You can do that real quick. Hi. I'm thinking, what else do we talk about? Since you just came up, said, okay, give the players too much to do. I agree with that, but also know how to like engage with that, how to do that, because if you are going to make all those 400 things, probably gonna go insane. Like this is something, if you write an adventure to sell, then that's totally fine, because then you over prepare everything. That's okay. Yes. But if you okay, I have to have this town ready by next Thursday because this party just arrived and I didn't have time because of I don't know, a double shift or whatever. Then prepare enough things that the party can and will find that they are not going to be able to all do.
Oh, I have a solution for that.
And then, as the party, let me just finish my thought, because this is how I do it. I make up like, I don't know, 10 things instead of 200, and then the party finds 5 of those things. And I can decide to do 2 of them or whatever, because the other things they don't want to do, or they're less interested in, or they think they aren't ready for, whatever the reason might be. And then so we have 2 things locked in. There's 8 things that they could be doing as well. And then I add, like, for next week, I add 2 or 3 more as I have ideas. And that's also a thing. That's also a thing that's cool, because the new things you add, they can find them, and you will always feel like, oh, there's something that's like has happened. It happened recently. Like, oh, this kid is gone. We have to find the child in the forest. It's probably really important that the child doesn't get eaten by bears. Like, at least for if you're playing good characters, you might want to help in that moment pretty immediately. Yeah. So you just go out there, do that, and then the other thing you promised to do has to wait a day. I don't know. And so it can feel like, yeah, there's lots to do. And there's always going to be more to do, because you're always putting more things in over time. And I think that is almost how these old adventures got written. In that, okay, there's these 200 things didn't all spring out of the GM's mind fully formed. They just, they played that game, and then they added cool things that just happened to happen in the moment.
Yeah. I mean, the reality of it is that my suggestion is based on canning and jarring. You know, you're not going to be able to eat all those cucumbers. Pickle those. Yeah.
I want to really quickly talk about what Beck says there, the quantum ogre problem. But you go left or right, you always encounter an ogre anyway. This is obviously this is obviously railroading and not great. But sometimes, if it's one of those weeks with the double shift and you didn't have time, one of the important skills as a DM is to sometimes sell that the party had a choice and they didn't, because it can't be obvious that the ogre would have come anyway. It has to be like, we have to lead them there carefully, and it has to feel like they had a choice in the matter. Like, you do have to lie sometimes about these things. You're a DM, that's kind of your job. But if it feels obvious and it feels railroaded, it's not going to go over well ever. And so don't make an effort to not make it feel railroaded if you do have to do that. And obviously, it's better to not do it at all. But as human beings, we have all been there. Like, you really want to have the game, but you didn't have time to prepare it. So this week is probably just going to be a big fight of some kind, because that's kind of easy to prepare. So let's just have this fight. Let's go. No one's going to complain too much about getting loot at the end and some experience points, for example.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of it is, I do want to bring up, is it okay to give 15 leads to follow, but just have 3 ready at a time? Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this right now. This is going to be a weird comparison, but if somebody gets murdered at the OK bar in town, guaranteed there's going to be like 15 different leads to follow. There's going to be the bloody knife in the trash. There's going to be the footprints out back. There's going to be a broken car window. There's going to be, a couple of different witnesses. There's going to be security camera footage. There's going to be a weird oil spill in the parking lot. Like, all of this stuff is going to be a lead, and that's what I tend to say. You know, I don't like the term quest. I don't like that. I like jobs, tasks, and leads. I like a thing that somebody is going to pay you for, or like something that somebody asks you to do. There's going to be some mundane bullshit. And there's going to be leads for you to follow that unveil mysteries, because the mystery doesn't have to be who shot. I almost said Mr. Kennedy. Who shot Mr. Jones? How do you feel about red herrings in a mystery investigation game? They're necessary. Absolutely.
Yeah,
necessary.
Absolutely.
They're necessary.
Like, to quickly talk about how do I run a mystery game, for example, if I were to do it. The one thing you can never do in any game, but most importantly in a mystery game where it's like clue based and you go on, is you always have to have it written down. What happens if everyone in the party just completely fails? What do they find then? They have to find something, otherwise the adventure is over. It's like, okay, behind this locked door is the loot. We don't have a rogue. Okay, can we run the door in? We are all wizards. None of us brought knock. Can we burn the door? No, it's made of metal. Well, I guess we go home then. Adventure over. Quest failed. Garbage. So there always has to be a way for anyone to continue in the story. But especially in a mystery game, that can mean running along the completely wrong path towards the wrong suspect, for example. Because you might have found exactly the clues the murderer wanted the guys investigating to find to incriminate someone else, for example. And so, and then over time, as it becomes clear, wait, that guy actually didn't do it because we found other things as we kept playing, because we didn't fail at all stages of the game, then you can lead back to the real murderer or whatever. Or maybe they just never find those clues and they just keep failing, and then you get bad outcome. And the bad outcome might not even be obvious, because they might be convinced that that guy really did it. And that's perfectly fine. But you can never have a dead end in your game where it's just not possible to progress. Or not it's realistically possible. Also, hi Cisco.
Wags, I think that's interesting. The idea of players are going to create their own red herrings don't make it worse. I genuinely, I mean, maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm just built different. I have a greater respect for the people that I GM for, and I treat them like rational thinking adults that engage in narratives and in games often enough to understand those kind of things. I'm not trying to talk down to you. I understand that I sound very imperious. That's just how I talk. Sorry, but anyways, I genuinely trust my players, and that's the biggest thing. If you treat your players like children who don't know what they're doing, they're going to hate you. They're not going to like your table, and two, they're going to understand that you don't respect their intelligence. Like, there are a couple of people I play with who I don't really have the greatest opinion of their intellectual fortitude and capabilities, but I'm not going to be a dick to them because they're still there to have a good time. It doesn't matter, especially in like a mystery game. Right? If you have players who genuinely do not understand how to deduce things, don't run a mystery game.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Play to your audience.
Like I love deductive reasoning. I absolutely love doing that. Do I like doing it at the table all the time? No. That's why I don't play a lot of Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I just want to fight stuff. Follow-up question: if a character chases a red herring, when do you tell them? When they figure it out.
Yeah. Like,
the greatest mysteries are things that you put together and you understand. And if players are coming for an investigation or a mystery game, they should do the work on their end to get into the mindset that you're gonna be deducing a lot of things.
There's also like a red herring, like the thing that's eventually going to happen if your party runs off in the wrong direction is that the villain is going to achieve an objective, and then it's going to become obvious. Oh fuck! It was actually that guy. Shit. Well, he just assassinated the Baron. Now we have to deal with that problem instead of the murder plot, which we didn't foil because we were investigating the wrong guy the whole time. Like, that is how you tell them that they did completely fucked up, kinda. And but there should obviously be chances to figure it out, like in character stuff, where it's like, okay, you listen to this guy's story. And you asked the maid, and she also said it's true. So he couldn't have been at the murder scene because he was doing I don't know. So this can't be the guy. So you missed something. Then you go back. What you do then? Okay, now they can't find these clues anyway. They already found them. So the difficulty goes easier for finding other clues, or maybe harder for specific ones, but time sensitive. And then you give them something else to follow up on. It could be another red herring even, but it's something. The game has to continue.
A really weird investigation tip and/or advice. It is not like lore. It is not like history. You don't get to have differing things, right? If a character says these events happened here, and this character says they happened differently, that cannot be coincidental based on your ineptitude. You have to have your story straight. You have to know what happened. You have to know the exact timeline and know what characters know what about said mystery. So, like, if Mr. Chauncey, if Baron Chauncey died at 6:30 at Webley Manor, and the maid says, "Oh yeah, I heard some noise from his room at 5:45," unless he died at 5:45 and nobody else knew it until 6:30, but the maid heard something. That cannot be an inconsistency in which you go, "Oh, guys, sorry, I meant to say 6:30." Like, that is not something that you can do. I'm telling you that right now.
Yes.
Because it is like, oh, that's an admission of leniency, but you do not have the room for that because that will make the story less interesting and less engaging, and it will ruin it.
For a mystery story, your writing has to be tight, and you have to know the shit that you're gonna say. Which is why,
you
honestly,
have to.
running them is not my favorite, and also something I don't often do because it is harder to prepare that stuff. And also,
You have to have it absolutely tight.
also straight up, just gonna say it. There's a good chance half your party won't even engage with this properly because they don't care.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's extremely high
Some
chance.
parties just aren't into it. Some parties cannot run Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Some parties just can't do it.
They
Yeah.
just can't.
They
And
don't have the capabilities.
The only way I've seen Cthulhu run consistently over a longer time is if there's like 4 players. 2 of them are mystery solving players, and 2 of them are just there to shoot a man
Yeah.
at some point during the adventure.
Yep.
And that works because the player who is just there to shoot a man during the adventure, just be there and hang out.
Yep.
Yeah, as long as they get to do like a little bit of dice slinging, they're gonna be happy at the end of the evening. And that
The perfect Call of Cthulhu group is the Mummy. You have 2 investigators
Yes.
and then the dude with all the guns.
yes,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
Cisco, I'll tell you this right now. Despite usually being the guy who really likes to do like deductive reasoning and dig into lore and history and do all of that, I am so often the Brendan Fraser of the party. I don't give a fuck. It's also because I've run into this problem where if I'm an investigator in a Call of Cthulhu game, if I run my brain too much, I will often ruin people's games. So I go to not do that because I will outpace the adventure really, really quickly, and I will make it less fun for everyone at the table, and that sucks. So I'm going to be Brendan Fraser.
My only long-running Cthulhu character was a 65-year-old big game hunter from Great Britain, who was the most British man ever. Who had his butler carry his elephant gun around, and he would never even talk to the common folk because he was of noble blood, and so I would never engage with the thing. I would just be there to experience Cthulhu and be like, blimey, that sure is a weird thing I'm seeing there. I wonder if it is immune to good old British lead. And then I would James my gun.
James, pass me the Nitro Express.
And then you would look over. James would have pissed his pants and ran away, but he left the gun there. And then clearly we have to find better help. And then you get your handkerchief out and pick up the gun and shoot the thing. And if it doesn't work, then you maybe start to panic. But again, like, to get into that real quick, it's never, ever, ever a bad thing to be that player at the table, by the way. As long as you sell it, and as long as you have fun and you don't step on other people's toes, by all means, be the guy who just wants to shoot the man once per session or whatever.
Now, I think this is a great dichotomy. Like, if you've got an Artemis Fowl in the party, you need a butler. You need big dude. You need dude who can just face tank and absolutely wreck shit. You should probably have somebody with a good combat ability.
Yeah.
But like, okay, I had something I wanted to talk about and then I forgot it. You bastards.
I don't know.
Oh no, I'll get it back.
That happened to me like 3 times because of the heat today.
But like,
it happens.
That type of stuff. I think in general you should be tighter with your writing. In like fantasy and stuff like that, or sci-fi or sci-fantasy, like that's a understand your setting very well and understand who the players are and what's going to be happening, and then just kind of let those gears go while you're running the Goblin adventure or whatever.
Yeah.
That is the big necessity. Man, why can't I remember that?
While Emery thinks...
I laughed too hard at the big elephant gun.
Yes, big elephant gun made my brain go, huh?
Yeah,
because it's so perfect.
Yeah, like, you know, the built character, it was like, okay, which gun does the most damage with a single shot in this system? Oh, it's the elephant gun. Awesome. How can I make a character that uses that and make it make sense? I'm basically gonna be Quatermain, but mortal.
Yeah.
And
God, I love Alan Quatermain so much. Yes. Only the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen wants immortal. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Traditional Alan Quatermain is the fucking shit. My favorite Call of Cthulhu investigators are a combination of Quatermain and like Howard Hughes.
Oh, nice.
Which,
yeah.
Now that I say that, it makes total sense for who the fuck I am.
Get to battle and refer with a punt gun. Yeah, that's also a good idea. No, but,
that was a big
a
part
gentleman,
of one of my Call of Cthulhu games.
A gentleman entrusts.
Hey man, you have a yacht, right?
Yeah, a gentleman entrusts his personal belongings and grooming to one person, not 2. No. You have one butler. You trust that
you have
man
a butler, and you
implicitly,
also have a
and the valet, but the valet is just this was basically a driver. I don't care. The butler has served your family for like at least 2 generations. It's also old, obviously, and also his
No,
family.
British gentleman, your butler handles your house, and your valet handles all of your personal things, including traveling with you.
No, I don't care. The butler comes with me.
But butler handles the house. The valet is the guy you're talking about.
But butler comes with me. Fuck it. I don't trust the valet. The valet is my shitty younger brother. He has him in his pocket.
He's not your driver. You have a driver. You have a chauffeur.
You shut your mouth about my character.
You're using the wrong words.
Yeah, but as long as no one else knows, who cares?
But I know.
Yeah, but you weren't in that game.
Dude, if I was at the table, I'd be so mad. I'd be like, oh, god damn it, please. Just call him the valet.
No.
Please. Please, God.
No, you would have to be the DM for me to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I would DM. I've been thinking about DMing a Call of Cthulhu game.
Maybe.
I don't know, but
I can't promise anything because I'm so busy.
I don't care.
You know.
Don't. Yeah, no, it's all good.
Yeah.
Anyways, but straight up, oh man, I wish that my brain didn't fucking melt.
It's fine.
That's sad.
Let's give Drake the baton
Drake,
again.
please do.
Yeah.
What?
Take
Take
the
Say
the wheel?
something. Yeah.
Jesus, take the wheel. Say something. Okay. So I brought it up before. We brought it up again on past tabletop talks. It is possible to do the evil party thing, but they need to have a common interest.
Yep.
Like anything else. The example that I'm going to use. Yep. The example I'm going to use was the recent game that I did that Neuro was part of. It was based on the old Isle of Dread module. Again, steal shamelessly. And the idea was that the major powers of Eberron were all going to the Isle of Dread to exploit it for gain. And the PCs were all from the monster nation of Drome. So they were all the traditional bad guys. We had a troll. We had the Warforged that was just exactly like Skeletor.
Yes, best guy.
Who was very well played. Holy shit. Oh my god. Legend.
Legend.
If he's listening,
legend.
Afro, thank you.
Yes.
God, he was so good. We had a green hag, and then at one point we had a shifter with the group. Wait, or was that a different group? That was a different group. We had a Minotaur tiefling.
Mm-hmm.
And then who was the other character?
The goblin. The goblin.
Oh yeah, Goblin Artificer.
Yeah.
Who was very much like a character straight out of World of Warcraft, honestly. But yeah, like there was a big fight, and then they wound up crash landing on the islands. Chaos ensued, so it was totally up to them to figure out what to do on this island. And they had the vested common interest of, okay, well, we want to explore this island and maybe exploit it, and yada yada. And it's just like...
I think to sum that one up, the common interest was, okay, this is a new place, which we can be the head honchos of if we play our cards right, so let's do that. And then it's big enough that all of us are going to get a big piece of this fucking pie. It looks very nice and juicy. And so let's go.
It was exactly what you might do with a bunch of good characters who wanted to have their own strongholds one day, except it was a bunch of evil characters who did that instead. And that campaign went off the rails when I was using my random encounter table. That 100 is something really weird happens, and then if I roll another 100, that is the space station crashes, and then I roll for what IP it came from. So part of the Citadel station from System Shock collapsed onto the Isle of Dread, and that just went crazy from there.
Yes.
That was wild.
Very Poggers Fortress at the end.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, you can make an evil campaign work really well. There's so many people who are just like, well, I don't like the idea of that. Have a vested common interest.
You need the kinds of players who know about the social contract and not fucking each other over. Like
Yeah, because out of character.
Yeah.
Ugh, yeah.
Like, find a way with evil characters. Find a way that your character doesn't care about the success of the other person. Because if you were to care, you would be jealous because you're evil. So don't be jealous. And then it's gonna be fine. Then you'll be like, okay, the one mage I kind of like just got a promotion. Cool. Now he has more power and he can help me more. Because we still have the common thing we want to do. Or in the case of our Skeletor, it's like, okay, he's the only full-level wizard on this fucking island that we can access. We hate him. We hate his mannerisms. His laugh is grating on us. But we need him to cast Fireball. We need him to do that.
Yes.
So we cannot do anything. And then over time...
Addendum to that, sometimes you can make the most grating, annoying character, and they become everybody's favorite
Yes, and
instantly.
that's exactly what I wanted to say. And over time, that character became everyone's favorite. And the party was united in ribbing at them because they were played very straight and I don't know what these weird like fleshy people do. I heard they slapped their meat together. That sounds really disgusting. And then we would all like make endless jokes about this Skeletor man not understanding how people work.
I love you, Skeleton Man.
Yeah.
I love you, goofy skeleton guy. I will say, Wags, how to distribute loot is a really interesting question because, like, gear in general is like something that so many systems do poorly. But I'm going to use a non-D&D example, right? Let's say, let's just say, hypothetically, for the sake of argument, you're running a Call of Cthulhu game. Anyways, so your player generates a character, and their job is you know, they were like a designated marksman, right? We're playing D20 Modern, whatever. They served in Afghanistan or whatever. And this guy has no gun starting out, or he has like a 9mm pistol. That's just what he has, right? That's his gear. At some point in that campaign or in that game, you should drop him a Knight's Armament, you know, M110 designated marksman's kit, because that will be a massive power up to that guy and let him use that 87% rifle skill that he has. Like, that stuff is really important. Like, making sure that your players will eventually get something that ratifies their character decision is more important than anything else. So your gear distribution should be a combination of, I would say, about 50% random garbage, 50% just what the fuck ever. Like, players find a Molotov cocktail or a crate of grenades, right? What are they going to do with that, you know? Who knows, but they'll do something. Congratulations. At the end of this, you actually get the deed to a shitty house.
Yeah.
And you now have a shitty brownstone in the slums. Fuck you. But so 50% random garbage, about 25% stuff that ratifies character decisions, and about 25% stuff that will change the character radically. That is something I think is interesting. Because either you're going to get a character, like, say you have like a knight character in D&D, and one of their things, they get like a badge of honor from the local lord that allows them to own land. That may not be something that changes how the character plays, but it does satisfy what they've chosen their character to be.
Yes.
And it makes them feel like they're part of the world.
And I want to add to this. It is not your job as the DM to distribute the loot to the party and make sure that the guy with the rifle skill gets the rifle. If the party is too stupid to give the loot that is optimal to the guy who needs it the most, then that's just not going to be a good time for anyone. Like, there can be reasons for that. Sometimes you can explain it, but the players should be on board in making sure the right loot goes to the right person. Like, for example, had anyone else besides Reese taken that axe into his hand, Reese would have been fucking livid and would have been like, no, even, okay, maybe there's a reason you grab it. Like, in the fight, the dragon pushes you into the thing. Okay, I grabbed the axe because I was disarmed. I hit the dragon. And Reese wouldn't be like, oh, you aren't allowed to do that. But Reese would be like, okay, give me this axe now. After the fight, I would like my axe now, please.
Give it here.
And if that player says no, but this is not my axe, and then Riz would be like, no.
That's gonna be a dust up, you know.
Yeah, we are now gonna have a problem with each other. So
if you don't give if Chris the rifleman, the designated marksman, doesn't get the cool rifle, and Marvin the craven coward who runs away from every fight gets it just because, oh well, Chris already has a bolt action rifle, he already has a hunting rifle, like. then that's just a player being a dick and going, no, I want it. I want to throw a fit and get what I want. And at that point, that's a social problem. And you need to just not deal with that player. You know.
Yeah.
I've played in games where I've gotten jack shit for very frequently. However, I mean, usually I just don't care. Is it okay to distribute some loot with the objective of helping a character with poor build survive power creep? Yeah. Dude, that's Usopp. That's Usopp.
Yeah.
That's One Piece Usoppman. Like, if you suck and you're playing a ranger in D&D 5e, your kit should probably be based around changing the nature of the fight, and talk to your GM about that. Be like, hey, I'm weak, or realizing that the player is weak and giving them cool stuff.
I would say.
Okay, wait. Great One Piece thing. We just finished the Skypiea arc. I've been watching it with Ronvi. Again, because I've read the damn thing up to Wano. But anyways, Usopp gets dials. He gets a specialty set of magic items that nobody else uses because of his engineering knowledge, and that allows him to fight on par with guys like Luffy and Zoro and other like bigger enemies later. Like, giving players that access to items and gear that allows them to step up to the level of everyone else, that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, that's not always something that's going to matter, because say you're in like Call of Cthulhu, because I'm referencing a lot of Cthulhu. Yeah, Chris, the designated marksman, might get a lot of value out of having a rifle, but Jane, the librarian, she's not going to give a shit. It doesn't matter what loot you drop her. The most important thing to her is going to be how she engages in terms of the investigation, not the actual kill.
Yes, and to add to this, like, it shouldn't always be like, I would say, okay, if the character is underpowered or poor build, they survive power creep and so on and so forth. Like, if you have a party of 3 dudes who have like made optimized characters for whatever level they at, and then there's one guy who just made Mike the fighter, who has 12 strength and 13 dex and I don't know, then it is in that moment wrong to just give Mike a +5 sword, because the other guys probably could use it even more than him. No, your answer in that moment is to be like, okay, man, let's sit down and make sure you understand what the game is. We are currently apparently playing, because apparently everyone else has made a very optimized character, and you're coming here with Mike, who is not very good at anything. Are you okay with just not being the main dude here, or did you actually just not know what you're doing? And then maybe it's not even up to you to fix this. Maybe you can be like, hey, Bob at the table, you made this. I know you know in and out about fighters. Can you help him make a good fighter, please? And then you solve that problem in that way. Because
that
I
think
think
right to Sundered Steel for how advice for GMs to help players who are inexperienced to tabletop RPGs creating or developing characters. That's a really solid roundtable.
Yeah. Like, that's what session 0 should be partially about as well, kinda. Like, if you know player is completely new to your game, or is incapable of engaging with the rules mechanics in a way that optimizes them, those people do exist. So just do not care.
I actually like to help people. Yeah. I'm very hands-on when it comes to developing characters. With players of every skill level. I don't care if you're a veteran who's been playing for 20 years. I don't care if you just picked up 20 minutes ago. As a GM, I'm going to be there with you every step of the way, because I want to clarify questions. I want to ask you about where do you think your character fits in. So my big questions are, how do you want your character to engage in combat, right? What do you want it to look like? What is your character's place in the world, and what is your character's goal? Those are the 3 things that I ask, and I want people to know. Like, how do you want to fight? Do you want to be a swordsman? Do you want to be an archer? Do you want to be like a John Wick master of every weapon? Do you want to be a wizard? What else do you want to do for, how do you want to engage with the setting? What kind of exploratory stuff are you into? Do you want to be into history or hunting monsters, or, what's your thing that makes you tick? And then what's your goal? What are you adventuring for? What are you doing? What's your end goal? Those are the things I tend to ask players, and that's why I'm very, very on par. I don't give a shit if a player writes a backstory or not. I have players who give me 5-page backstories. I have players who give me 5 sentences. I have some players who give me 5 words. At the end of the day, developing those characters mechanically and narratively is something that I like to be very hands-on with. And you can do other stuff if you want to.
Yeah. Like again, it's all a question of what you want to do with your time as DM. It's not like obviously if you want to help your friend be better at D&D, by all means. If you don't have the time to do it, ask your other friend to do it. And if you just like, okay, dude, clearly you didn't read the book. Did you not have time? What's happening here? Why are you're rocking up with Mike here, expecting this to be, I don't know what. Like you knew what this game would be. You knew that the others are pretty good, like min-maxers, and they would do that. Like
communicating the tone of your game is also really important.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about tone here right now. Anything that like goes against the tone, the intended tone of the game that players expect, you have to like look at and make a judgment call about, do I just nip this in the bud as I see it and be like, okay, we have to address this thing and I'm seeing here. Like, how come Mike has 13 in all attributes? Did you do 30-point buy? We said we would roll stats, and so on and so forth. Like, it's all about down to communication, obviously, and the most important is really hit the tone you are aiming for, and know what your players expect from the game, and deliver them that. Yeah. And that can easily involve helping them out in many situations, obviously, because that's part of your job. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the one thing I also want to like quickly touch on is a prep. I already talked about this a bit.
Yep.
But one thing I keep harping on about. If you plan to make a long campaign, the most important thing about your long campaign in the short term is always going to be the next adventure and making that good. No matter how cool and long running you want this to be and how epic the ending should be that you came up with. No one cares that you plan to have an epic showdown against, I don't know, let's say a really good villain, let's say Kefka at the end. You made your you made your version of Kefka and you made a really cool story about why he's going to be there and what he's going to do to get his shit. No one cares if your first adventure sucks balls because all you did was write about that backstory. No one's going to care. You have to make your short term good, and then once your short term is tight, work on your medium term, which will get you to your long term. For example, starting out with a big campaign, like I would do the same thing Emery does, is which like, okay, we're gonna develop this area. Can be a few villages in one town, can be just one town if you want the first adventure to be a town adventure, can be just a wilderness area, but you have to know it well at the end so that your players can more or less go anywhere in there and find something to find and to do. Because if your first adventure boils down to, the orcs attack, and what do you do now? Yeah, we don't know? Okay, cool. The adventure is now over because no one found the thing I wanted them to find. Because I didn't really think about how to get them there. But I sure have an idea about what we're going to do in 3 years' time at the end of the game.
I'm going to say something very controversial, aggressive, and inflammatory.
Yes.
Fuck your campaign. Fuck your campaign. Fuck your big villain, and fuck your big moment.
Yes.
Stop.
Yep.
Stop writing to be the big, epic, super adventure. Stop writing the villain. So many people focus on moments and beats rather than developing the adventure because the players are going to make those beats. Similar to like the red herring thing, you can make some moments, but like if you are obsessed with, I want them to fight the Black Knight, I want them to fight the Black Knight, I want them to fight the Black Knight, nobody's going to give a shit unless you develop the Black Knight, develop him as a good antagonist, and put him in the party's way in a way that is narratively satisfying. Like, I love a lot of the characters that I have right now, but like, am I gonna make Old Miller a big player? Probably not, because he's retired. He doesn't give a shit. But are the players gonna like him? Like, it's solid stuff, like. But when it comes down to it, like, stop writing for the moment because you can't do that. It doesn't work. Like, you're not going to be able to write the big movie moment where the hero gets the cool thing. Players are going to do that, and you can give them the opportunity to do so, but to do it, it has to be them. It has to be from
Yes. I would go so far as to say, in all my campaigns that I've run, except for my very first one, I had no idea who the bad guy would be. And you can always, and this is another thing, you can always just make it up retroactively by being like, yeah, remember that book you found you couldn't translate? Well, maybe now someone in this big town knows, and then you can be like, oh, that book is actually a set of instructions written in a very weird code, but this one scholar happens to know about it enough to like read the cliff notes. So I tell you that there's like the big red general is apparently has sent this guy here with this book. And this book weirdly contains like stuff that's going to happen in the future, apparently. What the fuck is going on? And
yes,
that's always possible. Just have to give them some things that might be red herrings for you, but then you might not be. Like there's the scroll. What's on there? It's a weird scrolling. You're not even sure if that's writing or not. Then later on you find, it's actually the assassin's symbol for the Assassin's Guild. What? Yeah, they use that. Don't ask me why.
They don't fight Darth Vader at the end of A New Hope.
Yep.
Luke doesn't fight him at the end of A New Hope. He fights him in Empire in Return.
And eats shit, yeah.
Like that. Yeah, and he eats shit in one of them.
Yep.
And
exactly.
Then he eats shit in the other one. But like you don't have to fight the Black Knight right away. Like it's fine. You don't have to force it. You don't have to force the encounter. Just let it be. Let it be. Like I love Ulfe, this giant, like, massive monster man. And, but were you guys going to fight him at Broken Spire? If you guys had jumped him at Broken Spire, I would have called you idiots.
Oh, we would be so dead. I mean,
I would have called you idiots.
Technically, I guess we are one level higher now. I don't know if you should fight him now, but we are. It's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, and the way that I've positioned this... And also, I would say this is another thing in terms of, like, narrative and scope and scale and all of the stuff you're doing in terms of, like, storytelling. Allow your players to engage in multiple ways, whether that be, hey, you can crawl through this vent, or you can unlock this door, or get through a crack in the ceiling. All of those options giving multiple ways to get to the same thing. But you can also give players more ways to engage with the setting in novel ways, or changing the conditions of the test, change the conditions of the battle. So for like Ulfe, straight up, I've told you guys this before, there is a calculable amount of mercenaries that he has under his command. He is by technicality a war leader. He's playing the RTS. He's playing war games. So you're not going to really be able to fight the guy one-on-one very well. You know he controls a fortress. You're in part of the fortress he controls. It's just too old and too vast for him to control all of it with a bunch of dudes. So, like, sometimes running is victory enough, true. But, like, asking players to engage with the setting in a way that they haven't really done before, or in a way that is novel, is gonna increase your, I think, not only the validity, but also the intrigue and interest in your story.
Oh, yeah.
Because asking a player, hey, that's why I like the wargaminess and building castles and stuff like that, because that asks a player to leave a permanent imprint.
Yeah.
And to invest themselves.
And there's also, like, another thing that's very important, to me at least, in the way I write things. I have to kind of get a feel for my players before I can write them a long-term story. Like, for my players and the characters they're gonna play. Because if it's... Like, I can't be making, okay, here's my story about the Inquisition rocking up and... Thank you, Emery. Rocking up and being assholes. If all my party is just gonna be like, we don't care. Like, we don't care about the gods. You have to be like, okay, let's do an adventure. Let's do a one-off where they meet like some sort of level Inquisitor, and maybe help him, maybe get hindered by them, and see what happens, see how they react. And if you have like two people in the party, you're like, I don't care. And two people are like, that guy was really cool, I kind of like him. Then maybe the Inquisition should be the good guys in your story. Because two guys like him and two guys who are indifferent are going to get dragged along the story by the other guys, and eventually can make them care in another way about what's happening. But if you're just going to write your thing out, and it can fall completely flat. So the best thing you do is, as your first arc, is get the players to give you something personal that you can do with them to start. Doesn't have to be huge, but has to be like something you can build on to give them an adventure or a small arc of some sort, each of them. And then once that's paid off, you will know how these player characters and their players tick in their brain, and then you can give them the real hook.
So, for example, over the first 10 sessions of the Adventures in iOS game that we've been running, I've effectively entrenched you guys into this area. Not only made the Gylershire an interesting place to be and a place that you want to vibe with, but also I've now given somebody a mercenary fortress there. So now you have a home here. It's your home away from home.
Yep.
Yep.
The last session was, hey, so now this hobgoblin captain is now talking to this mercenary, and they're talking about raising Thanlin. Congratulations, great. That's where Geralt's from. So now the kobold is engaged, and these guys are squatting in Reese's ancestral home. So that's also something there. Like there is just a daisy chain of things that get most of the party in here, and that's where like it kind of boils my blood when you have, I would say, the loose shopping cart wheel, the person who usually asks like, well, why are we even doing this? I guess that I get that's something that as a GM I've legitimately never learned to deal with. When people don't buy in, I like it irks me, especially when the rest of the party is buying in.
I like when that happens. Like you can like change the paradigm in a game. Like it turns out that the good guys who thought were good actually might be like kind of tarnished, and they might be doing bad things too. And at that moment, it's okay if a player is like, okay, should we switch sides? Should we do something different? But it shouldn't be like, guys, I don't give a fuck. What are we doing? Can we just go north and like fight some dragon or something?
Just fight some orcs. I'm so sick of this politics stuff. Well, the rest of the party's really interested in the local politics.
Yeah, we did, Bob. We did say it would be politics. I mean, you said it's fine. So why are you now complaining? Like,
Why are you mad now?
But conversely, if you just drop the politics on them and one of them really doesn't, you just hates it, then you fucked up as a DM. Yeah. You just have to find a way to make it either interesting for that player in some way, give them their own, I'm gonna hiccup, their own side thing, or
and I mean that's all about creating those multiple different levels of interaction. That's something where like some people really like political machinations, and sometimes sessions are going to be all political. Sometimes sessions are going to be all that role play, or maybe it's all exploration. Maybe it's all combat one session. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it be like that. But when it really comes down to it, giving multiple vectors to that engagement is really the way that it's gonna allow multiple players to get in and engage and have fun. And if somebody doesn't want to have fun, then that's just their business, man.
Yeah,
like,
at a certain point, it's the player's problem. Yeah, if you're like, you wrote this backstory and now you don't engage with it, why? Oh, I don't like it anymore. Okay, what do we do differently? I don't know.
Those players drive me nuts. You wrote this story, you bastard.
Yeah, at that point,
fight the six-fingered man, you son of a bitch. Be invested.
I am Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. I don't care. Goodbye.
I don't give a shit. I'm gonna go to Milan and fucking get drunk with hookers. Like, go fight the six-fingered man.
Yeah.
I started about 20 sessions ago just for you.
Yeah. Again, that's the communication thing. But what I'm getting at with my prep thing is, again, first arc, something personal or something universal, like, oh, the town is gonna get destroyed if we don't stop the thing. Do we really care? Kinda not, but all our stuff is in that town. So let's just stop it. That can also work. Like, give them something they have to do right now, and then see what happens. Understand the players, the characters, and then give them a long-term thing. And from there you can go.
Right now, though, in terms of like that universal kind of concept, do not, and I'm going to say this very loosely, do not push subversion as hard as some people. Like, the idea of, oh, this isn't fantasy like you've seen it before. Yes, it is. Everybody has seen these subversions. This is a genre that's super, super old. Every genre is super, super old at this point. There is nothing subversive about it. You should be pushing for what your take on it is. Yeah. That's another thing with like setting in terms of GM. If you're writing your own setting and you don't have a strong opinion on whatever is in that setting, then don't do it.
Yep.
If you don't have a strong opinion on elf culture, why are you
Yeah.
why aren't you just running?
I'll go one further. Even if you like have all these opinions, and even if you wrote a thing that's actually unique and new, but it's pointless if your players don't like it.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. Right there.
Write
You
a
gotta
book.
make it playable.
Yeah, write a book.
Your setting has to be playable.
Or even if it's
Playability in the setting, engageability.
even if
that
it's
stuff is really...
even if it's engageable and playable, if you wrote the wrong thing for the players you have, then it's your fuck up. So learn what your players want and do that thing. And if you don't like it, then it's time for you to find other players you can do the thing you want with. It's very possible.
Like, straight up, if you go to a D&D table and you spend the entire time going, "Oh, you fucking idiot! You wanted to fight the goblins? Oh, that's stupid of you. Look at how dumb you are for liking your dice rolling game." Like, if you go to a Star Wars film and that film fucking hates you for liking Star Wars, that's not a good film. You're not gonna like it. That type of subversion, especially in the fantasy genre, is so old that like don't do it, man. It's boring, it's played out, it's useless, and it leaves the players not enjoying what they've done. If you want to engage with something, don't subvert. Dig in.
Yep.
If you want to talk about what I like, what does heroism mean? What is how is history made? All of those questions, like those themes and those suppositions, like those are the things that you want to dig into. You don't want to subvert them and go, "Oh, actually the guy in the black armor was nice.
Yeah.
The Black Knight was actually pretty cool."
It's very much
It's like, no, like, it's boring, it's useless, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your player's time. Especially if you do they're just other people. Like, that twist is so boring. I like my Tolkien goblins, I like my orcs drum beating and eating flesh. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's
I-
fucking
Just
go.
do it.
I actually do
That is
like
so radical.
the other people thing, but it has to also be earned. Like,
Yeah, it has to be
like
earned.
all
It
of
has to
these,
make sense.
all of these things can make sense, can be good, can be earned. But yeah, if you come to your players and be like, okay, we are doing Lord of the Rings basically, make characters, and then 3 sessions in you're like, oh, but these orcs actually they have a society and they have this. No, that sucks. But
And
if
they
you're-
live in it.
Yeah, but yeah. Don't just twist it
It's
because you wanted to twist it. That does nothing.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Also, just
Yeah, it's absolutely
generates you
useless.
problems. Like, need I remind
Like,
you
I'm
of
a
what
big-
season 8 of Game of Thrones was like?
Danny just kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
Oh, that was the best one. That was the best one.
Yep.
Because he couldn't say that he forgot. That's so good.
Yeah.
Fucker.
But yeah, straight up, like the way that I look at like orcs and those things, I guess like cultural sensitivity can also be like a really good thing to learn when you're DMing, especially if you're DMing fantasy. Like the way that I look at things like orcs is, like raider cultures and nomadic raider cultures have existed for a long time, like as long as society has. And I guarantee if you were like, let's say, an angle back in 864, boy, them Danes probably looked like orcs, huh? That's probably some scary shit. Those dudes roll up to you in paint and face paint and charcoal, waving torches and shouting and throwing pitch over your house. That's pretty fucking scary. So yeah, like that like the orc as it stands now is just such a distillation of that fear of something that's gonna roll over your town and just destroy it and take everything and leave it absolutely just like blackened and scorched. That is fine. But if you start writing orcs as, say, analogous to Native Americans or analogous to people of African descent, maybe now you fucked up and you should probably go get yourself checked.
Yeah.
And maybe take a couple of lessons on cultural sensitivity, because that works.
I mean, ultimately, that whole Viking thing was very much okay. They are. What do you mean they don't defend their cloisters against attack and all their gold is there? Like, we are just going to be a bunch of opportunistic fuckheads who also happen to don't understand that religion. So let's just go and take all their gold because it's easy.
we don't have a lot of fertile farmland, so
Yeah.
we're going to grab whatever we can from you. But that also means we haven't like developed a lot of farming culture, so we can't really utilize the land we've taken. So we just take and leave.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yep.
That's an understandable
Yeah, it
culture
took
that
them.
is still like
it took.
you know
it took-
probably not great.
Yeah, it took them like, I guess, like 100 years or something to get to the point where they were like, okay, we can actually take the land. Actually, you know, we could actually just do that. You know.
Yeah,
And
it took a lot of false tries.
They took Britain over, and yeah,
It took until King Edward.
yeah. I don't remember what
Until King
the.
Edward for them to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't remember when the first one was, when the first raid was.
That's
Um,
been a-
Whatever, it doesn't really matter. We are way off
Yeah, it
course
doesn't
here.
matter. But
But yeah.
when-
Yep. You get the point. Yep.
Yeah,
that type of stuff of
Yeah.
like making sure that your fantasy has everyone in it
Yeah.
because you know you want it to be representative of the world.
Yeah.
Making sure that you and not even checking boxes, but just like I think training yourself to just write and just make people of every of every type, like just go for it, like
Yeah.
that's not hard. It's not hard to make diverse settings, and it's not hard to not be a huge racist piece of shit. Like
Exactly.
straight up, it's not difficult.
Yeah.
It's
Like-
not hard.
yeah. You can write your orcs to be birthed by evil magic and be like completely like evilly fight elves, basically. Yeah, that works. For if your setting is literally like Lord of the Rings, where that's what it is, and you want the evil, good was evil. Sorry, evil cannot be redeemed. Evil can only be destroyed. Let's go. And yeah, but that's if you don't want to write that, then those Vikings that you thought were the orcs, they might take you as a slave back to their home and then treat you better than you were treated as a serf.
Yeah, what if hanging out with the orcs is tight as fuck
Yeah.
though?
Yep.
Because
Exactly.
that was kind of common back then. They were like, okay, they took me back. I'm like an indentured. I used to be a serf. I couldn't leave my land. I now work for this higher up noble guy who took me prisoner. I get better food. I live in a bigger house, and all I have to do.
And now he gives me a
is-
shield and a sword, and we get to go
Yeah.
fight dudes.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Oh,
fucking
no,
Yeah.
not me. Maybe not even that. All I have to do is basically teach him to, because I happen to know how to read. Teach him how
Yeah.
to teach him or someone there how to do that in British, and I get food and lodging for that. I don't have to like break my back
Yeah.
working every day. Pretty awesome.
And these
pretty
guys know
awesome
how to
deal,
party.
kinda,
They
yeah.
get drunk every night.
Yeah.
You know,
Vikings
like
are pretty poggers.
Yeah,
but
they're-
yeah,
Yeah.
like
And-
it is not hard to look at the world and understand what you're going to put into your setting.
Yeah.
Like, and really, if you start running into problematic stuff, don't freak out. Like, if you start going like, oh, I have some really problematic ideas of this or that, like, just kind of confront that and work on it.
Yeah.
That's all stuff you're going
Yeah,
to run into
not-
when you're writing fantasy, anyways.
Yeah, nobody is perfect, especially like a lot of the stuff is I mean, the age-old question, which I really don't like about, oh, you find the orc children, do you kill them?
I hate orc baiting.
Is
I hate that fucking question because
Yeah.
like no, my players aren't gonna fucking murder a literal child unless they're Goblin Slayer.
yeah,
And if they're Goblin
Yeah.
Slayer,
yeah, like in PSA. In case you needed to know, Goblin Slayer isn't a good guy. He's just,
no.
Goblin Slayer is one of the most damaged individuals you have ever seen in any story.
yep.
Like that is one of those things where it's like it's like an everyone sucks here kind of post where it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that world is garbage. Those goblins are fucking awful, but Goblin Slayer's a monster.
Yeah. Listen.
Oh yeah, you didn't kill the
you
children, you killed the younglings. Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
the younglings. Yeah, I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
That's weird,
Yeah.
but also counterpoint. Anakin did say he killed the women and the children too, so I don't think that was the problem.
But that was sand people. The younglings were the young Jedi.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That's true.
And also they are called
Yes.
sand people, which is kind of bad in and of
yeah,
itself.
Yeah.
that's why they started calling them just Tusken Raiders.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yep.
like
So it's
straight up, just
It
like
isn't better, no.
No,
dig
no,
into your
it's
problems.
better.
I think digging into it and questioning your issues will make you a better GM and a better writer
Yeah,
too. Like,
100%.
Oh yeah.
especially thinking
Flat
about
out.
your like how you think about things like politically and socially. I think those things are gonna like really help you.
Oh yeah.
No one's perfect.
And I don't mean to like preach at
Just
your
be
players
better.
and be like, this is the government that I think is good. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't
No.
preach to people. Just test the waters. See what you can do.
Yeah.
Get experimental. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like especially if you have players that you've been playing with like a really long time. Like I think after playing with Unira, I think I can push buttons a little bit and then like still be fine.
Yeah.
We can push and be a little uncomfortable and then go
Yeah.
back to the comfort.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
that's something that you just learn.
Yeah, you learn your players, like, I won't say hard limits because you shouldn't really go to those, but you learn their soft limits,
No.
basically, to do
I don't
that
think
term.
anybody who's reasonable should ever hit a hard limit for anyone.
Yeah.
Like, I think as long as you have like a good brain on you, I think you're gonna
Yeah.
avoid those. Like,
Which is-
that's safety consideration.
which is why none of this talk has been about, oh yeah, don't put rape in your game, by the way.
Dude, if you're hitting people's hard limits, you're already fucked. You're
Yeah.
too late.
If
You're
Yeah.
over the edge.
I cannot
No.
help
Just
someone
know
who
people.
wouldn't just stop and think, why maybe I shouldn't do that. And maybe
Yeah. Oh
like,
wow! I put SA and horrible body horror torture into every
Yeah.
one of my games that makes everybody uncomfortable. I constantly say like horrible, like you racist or fashy shit at my table, and people don't like playing in my games. What?
weird, yeah.
Weird.
Well, enough about Adam Coble.
Yeah. Like, by all means, put...
We can never escape him.
No, we can't.
Really can't. He's a perfect example of what we're
I
talking
think it
about,
should be in
honestly.
session 0. Yeah, like, honestly, like, okay, here's the thing. I think a lot of things we just mentioned don't belong in any game. Even if none of the
Yeah.
players would mention it, you just shouldn't make it about that. Because
Yeah.
you would have to have pretty big balls to be like, yeah, I could totally write a story that is tasteful, that is about SA. Like, probably you are gonna fall short, and it's gonna be uncomfortable for everyone. Even if they don't really get personally attacked by it, it's not gonna be a thing
Yeah.
they
have a
look back
method
at
for you.
fondly.
I have a method for you, anyone listening. And this is a method that I have developed by playing with one of my favorite players I have ever played with. And that is, if you have written it and you are running it, could you run that for your mom?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
play D&D with my mom. My mom's a killer D&D player. I've talked about this before. She plays like straight up like people used to in the 70s. She's like a door kicker. She'll like look at her watch and be like, "Ah, God, it's been 3 hours. We've only cleared 2 rooms. Let's go. Let's
Nice.
get some goblins." She's awesome. I love it. She never played before, but she has that mentality of that age. It's so killer. But anyways, if you are writing that, like I had a like a sideline comment with Old Miller where he was talking to Geralt about goblins, and he was like, "Oh yeah, they kidnap people, and you don't want to know what they do." Like, some players will, their imagination will already take that to the absolute like 100, 0 to 100
Immediately.
like darkest place. But like maybe that's not what they're doing. Maybe they're doing some other stuff. Maybe it's still dark. Maybe it's evil blood magic
And-
or human
yeah.
sacrifice or whatever. But like,
Yeah,
players will make that. That's why I usually say put a veil over it.
exactly.
Anything that's like really hardcore, just put like a it's almost like a gossamer veil. Just put that over it, and you let that kind of add a little bit of mystery. Don't like directly say, "Yep." There is a messed up scene. I'm going to spoil this Call of Cthulhu adventure because I don't think anybody should ever play it because it has one of the darkest endings ever. You do a lot of dealings with a mobster, and the shtick is the mobster has transformed into a bug man. He has like a big baggy 1920s like carpetbagger suit over his like bug limbs, and he wears like a fake mask, like a plaster mask, to give him like a fake face. So that end of the adventure, you find out where all the kidnapped girls from his club are. And he has a bunch of bug kids, and you find some really messed up stuff in the bedroom, including a lack of hands and feet. Now I'm going to say that with that big warning. It is so beyond like what you should be writing that I think that the writers behind that should have not released that product. Because like, yes, it's super dark, but also I've played Cult Divinity Lost and had less fucked up shit in that. I played the intro adventure to Cult Divinity Lost and watched one of my friends like his character beat his character's mom to death with a hammer as she cheered him on and said, "Great job, honey." That was pretty dark, but nothing has been as dark as that like Call of Cthulhu nonsense. And like you should not be putting that in your adventure straight up. Like, dude, do not allude to it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Use the veil. The veil is strong.
Yeah, if you as a person can't even have the allusion to it in there, that's on you to tell everyone. If the illusion should be fine, especially like you said, though you don't want to know what the goblins do with prisoners. Like that could just mean they eat them, for example. That just mean the way I said that just now is tells you like what the hierarchy of things is, but. Also like to get to that adventure just straight up. That's also just missing the mark of a Cthulhu adventure, because that is a very mundane terror they are described there. It's a very that is aiming to give a player PTSD, not to have a character be like, you don't know what you saw, it's super weird, and now you're gonna have bad dreams for months and you can't really sleep and play that out.
Exactly.
Because in Cthulhu, that is the thing. There's horror in there, but you can't really. It should never be that direct, mundane, bloody, gory garbage, because that's not what Cthulhu is about. It's failing even on that level.
You can put it in there, but like it's got to be in context to the rest of everything else. You know, like I love the adventure paper trail, and the ending of that is so awesome. Like being in an extra dimensional apartment building is so cracked out. But like. Especially with horror games, like we've talked about gore, we've talked about all that stuff. I love bloody, gory Sam Raimi nonsense, and I think in that, like, it's the excess that makes it work. Because if you make the horror too real, and you make it like something that is directly like next to the player, or something that's going to skeeve out a player or make them upset like that, that's not, you're not really engaging with horror, because horror is something that you play with inside kind of that mental space that allows you to explore. Like. I hate the Hellraiser films. I don't like them. I love Clive Barker's work. I hate Hellraiser because that excess is just it's too much. It's too gross. And I guess that's the point of the film. But like I don't feel that it works. Again, like playing in that space, like Candyman works. That's a Clive Barker bit that works. I hate the Saw franchise. True. Saw is also really gross because there's so much meticulous detail to how these things function in terms of like making somebody squeamish. But like it's just all of that like it's like the snuff film kind of idea. Like I don't want to watch that. I want something with characters and narratives. I want the monster to be thematically relevant. You know?
Also Saw is the biggest example of but what do you mean we have to make another one?
Oh my god.
Yeah. That's a really good way to put it.
Because that first movie is actually like pretty tightly written, and they had a good idea there. And then, what another one? Yeah, you made enough money, make another one. And then the writing just falls apart more and more as it continues. Which,
God, that is a series that just falls apart.
Which
bad.
I
keep,
guess,
adding more details and going back to old locations. Like, oh my god.
I guess that's
go back to the room that Carrie Elways is stuck in that first movie like 5 times.
Yeah, we have kind of jumped off the rails, but to tie it back to DMing, it's like, don't feel obliged to like do callbacks upon callbacks just because things were popular and stuff.
Oh, true, yeah.
Oh yeah, don't feel
even
obliged.
Even to your own work, you know, like I love that moment where people click. I think one of my favorite moments of running the game was Wags realizing that the rat catcher with the golden teeth, like that was that click moment. But like that's just an offhand character that nobody would miss, but I'm sure shit his unit's gonna miss him.
Yep.
Like that. Those type of callbacks are really nice, but like it was me, Austin. It was me all along. Like nobody cares. Nobody cares.
That's just masturbating with your own setting too much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I guess the players find that out and the players earn that shit. Cool. Carbon, hey, thank you for the raid.
Hello.
Yeah,
hello,
like
hello.
I've talked about this before. I think it's a really solid thing of like if you were playing in a Gygax game, like could you go talk to Mordenkainen? Yeah,
It looked like
if you're playing with Greyhawk, you could probably go talk to Mordenkainen. He'll probably help you out for a problem.
Because you were looking at your Twitch monitor, but it made you look at like the viewer. It was so good.
I should have done my flustered expression.
I mean, maybe. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's really it. Oh, we missed opportunity.
Carbon is a really good artist.
That looks fun.
You'd
That
be
looks,
following
yeah,
them if you like
that
good
looks
art.
cool.
We're talking about how to DM in in tabletop games right now.
In the tabletop sense, yes.
Yeah. We've been doing it for a while, so I'm not sure how long we're gonna go for. Straight up.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I'm dying in the heat over here.
But like, you know how shitty that would be if you were playing a Gygax game and Morgan Kanan would just come up and solve every problem. Like,
Yeah. So that's why I was like Faerun, because
It'd be like Forgotten Realms.
yeah, sorry, Forgotten Realms, yeah.
Yeah.
So if that's the wrong setting, yeah, because Elminster's gonna fuck your wife and then gonna solve the problem.
Yeah, he kick flips over the corpse of a dead god to fucking beat up that goblin. Yeah. Yeah, but like, you know how like shitty it would be just to be like, and here is a big hero and they solve your problem. Like, no, don't be self-related.
That is literally, that is easily the biggest single mistake you can make, in my opinion. Putting like the DMPC in there, that's just more powerful than the party and has time to solve the problem. Like, you can have powerful characters, but they should have their own problems. And you can have.
Is Emery gonna come down from their bullshit and solve your stupid dragon? But fuck no,
of course
leave me
not.
alone.
No.
I'm busy, my G.
Yep.
I'm fishing, man. I'm going fishing. Leave me alone. Like that idea of like waiting for your NPC to jump in. Well, by the way, your players are just gonna get really reliant on it anyways. It's a whole
that's the other thing.
They're going to get reliant and feel useless at the same time. It's really bad.
Sucks.
The way you do it, if you want like sometimes you have the NPC there, right? That is along, and if you don't want them to be completely ineffective, like if they're not combatant, that's fine. You can make them a combatant, but then they should usually not have like a bunch of problem-solving spells or a lot of ideas. It's a good idea to have a guy with a sword there. That can be your mouthpiece for certain obvious things the party might have missed, so you can say them in character as opposed to like as the DM. But then that guy should just have, we have a fight. Yeah, okay. So Tyler is gonna go over there and fight those two soldiers. So the left flank is a bit more secure. You can like worry about other things, and then you're just gonna be like, Tyler is still fighting those two guys. And by the end of the fight, Tyler's gonna be done fighting those two guys. So if you lose the fight, then Tyler also loses the fight. But we're not really gonna go in there and be like, Tyler just very, very deftly flourished and decapitated the first guy and then ran the second guy through with the other guy's weapon, and now he's coming for the commander of the enemy force. And if you like, he might get there before the barbarian. No, he's just gonna fight, and he's gonna be an okay fighter. He's gonna be fine, but he's not gonna be he's gonna solve the encounter for anyone. Holy shit! Yeah, the most you do is that.
I like there are a lot of things where you guys have met two pretty solid spellcasters, Tace and Lafayette.
Yeah.
Both of those characters can cast 5th level spells or more. You don't know, but like those guys have shown they're pretty strong. Like they're beefy. But like, is Tace gonna hang out with you? He's like, no, fuck that. I'm like a 12th level wizard. I'm gonna go do my shit. You guys go run through the dwarf citadel and get all that. I'm gonna go search the wormwood, Later's Gators, and then he bails. Yeah. Because he's got his own shit to handle. He doesn't need to babysit you, and he's confident in you. I think that's another thing of like, if you have an NPC, like there's straight up like if you have an NPC who's super powerful and they meet the party, they should be like, you guys are competent enough, you got this. And if you don't, rough stuff.
Like what you can do there in a moment is like, if case need help, here's like my hand-me-down Staff of Magic Missile you can have or something. It's an opportunity to give the party like a little something that might help them.
It's like taped together.
Yeah. Here's 2 health potions. You might need these. Like, give them a bit of something that makes the character useful to them, but don't solve their problems with them. No, definitely don't.
Great anime analogy. Wait a minute. Is Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, Satoru Gojo is such a fucking problem. The dude is literally invincible. And the villain's plans are entirely about how do we stop Gojo from fighting
Because if he fights, we fucking lose. So their whole plan is get him out of here. He's done. Who's the next strongest guy? It's Kento, right? So now we've got to go fight Nanami Kento. We've got to make sure he's gone, right? We've got to delete these two super powerful characters. But guess what? That doesn't impact what the effective party is doing.
Yeah.
All of the other lower level characters are still fighting. It's just, oh, eventually Gojo's going to get into the fight and end it. I think the One Punch Man game. Did you guys ever play that Spectacle Fighter? The One Punch Man?
No, I never did.
It was a pretty solid game, but the way that it worked, if you got Saitama on your team, it was a 3-on-3 fighter. You would play two characters, and you would have a meter that would show Saitama running to the fight, and when he got there, he wins.
Yes, awesome. That's perfect.
That's really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, so that's what
like
I'm talking about. Like, if you have like a really powerful patron, right? If you guys got in way too deep, like the meter starts of Tace running to the fight, and eventually he might show up because you guys have helped him out, and he's really invested in what you guys are doing because you're helping Jaina. You're trying to get Jaina back, and he's interested in helping you do that. He's also interested in furthering your goals.
Yeah.
Because you guys are tag teaming. So like, don't use them to completely just trounce the bad guy, but like make sure there's enough bad guys and enough layers. Get the layer cake going so that each person can eat a different layer. Yep. You know?
The I don't even know. Sorry, it's too warm. I don't know what I was going to say. Drake,
It's okay, you're fine.
you have.
Yes.
Do you have something?
Honestly,
Chappy, thank you for the follow.
We've really covered a lot of ground here.
I think so too.
God, because like everything on my list we've covered. And covered in great detail. I really like what you said about would you play this with your mom?
Yeah,
that's actually really that's a really strong way to put it.
That's how I do. It's how I write scripts too. If I write a manuscript or I write a script for TV, film, anything, I think about it. Would my mom like it? Because if my mom couldn't go to that theater, and I have to edit that out when I'm doing horror movies. I don't watch horror movies, but like, would my mom find this interesting? Right? Like,
oh yeah.
Is that acceptable for like a general audience? And after that, you could start going through it. You know, like. All of that kind of stuff is really important. Understanding a general audience and understanding your limits based on, I say, decency, and just I would say like kind of a more genteel atmosphere. I think everybody could be a little bit more polite.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I'm gonna say this. I will want to rate soon, but let's each of us like boil this down to our most important thing. And I'm gonna start because that way I'm sure I'm the first person to say this.
Go for it.
The most important single thing as DM is to remember, please, that you are doing this collaboratively. The story has to be engaged with, looked at, peered at, and ultimately solved by the party and the players. And that has to be the main thing. Again, there can be a taste helping them out. There can be stuff happening that is on their side, obviously. For example, we can send 50 mercenaries in the woods to like do the thing we didn't want to do, and that's fine. That's now a thing that might get solved, might not get solved. We don't know, but that's the thing we decided. So it's our decision. It's us putting it forward. Yeah, exactly. And so never ever have your idea of, okay, I want this to happen and this to happen and then this happens and then they fight the bad guy. That is terrible. No, you don't know what's going to happen. You just know what the bad guy wants. And you know how he might get there if no one stops him. And you know how the party is going to clash with that because you know their backstories and how they might interact there. You know? So again, if my dwarf wants his ancestral fortress back, and the big bad guy of the story is the warlord of that fortress, then we seem to have a problem here. It's going to solve itself. And you do not at that moment need to worry about when that fight is going to happen, because you know that it is going to happen at some point. So you are very much good, not worrying about it and making the moment to moment the best you can make it. I think that's the most important advice. Yeah. Next, I don't know who of you wants to go next.
Please go.
Okay.
I'm gonna say something really pretentious and shitty at the end, so please.
Oh, perfect.
Please.
So I boiled this down. I had said this once when we were doing a watch along for The Expanse, how space is a character that's in the room all the time. Your setting is an NPC that's in the room all the time. Why is this bar room shitty? Well, they had to cut back because people have been conscripted, so there's only one guy to 10 bar now. Something that basic. The setting affects everything constantly. And if your setting isn't actually affecting things, then why are you even using one to begin with? It really should be a thing. It's called Dungeons and Dragons. You're going to go into dungeons at some point. A lot of people, I keep encountering this, a lot of people miss that when they're like, oh, I want to run Eberron. Well, why? Is it because you like cool electric trains? That's cool. You can make your own setting that does that too, or there are more reasons than that. But yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice to people. Just like your setting is so important. It's an NPC that's with you all the time. Use it.
Yes.
Let it inform you and your players.
Okay, Emery.
Emery, be pretentious.
Okay, if you wish to write a grand opera about a prostitute dying of consumption, I will direct you to Mr. Ibsen in Oslo. He will furnish you with something suitably dull. This is a game that is predicated on doing stuff. Most of that stuff is based on fighting monsters or investigating old castles or finding the murderer, finding the killer, fighting the dragon, making sure the warp drive is ready to make the jump to the next planet. When you really get down to it, you focus on gravity, right? Think of every character and every action as part of a gravitational body, or each one as a gravitational body. Naturally, forces that have, similar gravitational pulls and weights will eventually attract towards each other, right? I point people towards JoJo a lot in terms of that, where, these characters are drawn towards each other, towards natural conflict because of similar either character motivations or abilities or weights in the story. So I've talked to people about making sure that your story structure is like dropping steel balls onto a silk sheet. Eventually they will all draw towards each other and make a big clacking sound. That's what you want to focus on. What narrative weight does each character have, why it's going to matter, and not only having a collective weight of your players, but also having the individual player characters having their own individual weights, and maybe that's going to pull them apart. That's okay. It's okay if your players go in different directions. They will converge again, because eventually, celestial bodies with a similar gravitational weight will pull towards each other. So yes, if you wish to write a grand opera about something incredibly dull, please go do that. And don't make your game about your personal, 100% your lived experience. Don't make your game about boring, dull, dreary garbage. Just write something fantastical, make something fun, right? That's it. You got to make something that's based on engagement and based on players getting in there, and it building on what the two of you have said. It has to be playable, it has to be collaborative, and it has to be entrenched in the setting, and that's how you get that pillar of exploration, because people want to explore your setting if it's fun.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Make people want to show up to the next session. And for the final one, if people don't want to show up, fuck them. Fuck them. Leave them in the dust. My dear gentlemen and gentle women and gentle folks, fuck them. If they are not going to engage with the stuff you want to do, then that's okay. Go get a new group. Find new people. We've never had a point at which it's easier to do.
Mm-hmm. And if again, to not to push back on that, but to say it, if you're playing with your friends, yeah, you will have to find a compromise sometimes about what you want to do and they want to do, and then it's fine. That is still completely valid. But yeah, if you are hell-bent on doing that one thing that you really always want to do, then your friends might not be the right people for that one.
Yeah. If you want to run Lancer and all your friends hate mechs, you're not going to run Lancer for them.
Yeah.
They're not going to have fun.
Yeah. Yep.
Overall,
Right.
good episode.
Yeah,
Good
this-
episode.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, here's my question to you: do we do
Yes.
this again? Like, do we now change the format a little bit and do like 3 books and then one of these?
I think that's actually really strong.
Because
I
That's
think
really
we should. Yeah.
because I think doing only the books has completely destroyed our brains more than once.
Yeah, I actually agree with that because yes, palate cleanse, but then also it just requires us to think differently
Yeah.
for 4
Yeah.
hours or 3
Yeah.
hours, and that's important because
Yes.
like us showing this stuff bad, that's great, but like we also need to give even the audience aftercare and ourselves
Yeah.
aftercare.
You need to build
Yeah.
something. Really. That's
I-
what it is. Like I want people to understand how building stuff works.
Yeah, calling
Yeah.
it aftercare is really the correct terminus there.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very apt after Dark Souls.
God, that
I,
was so sad.
I, by the way, do enjoy that we had Colonel Sand, computer Colonel Sanders on the screen for more than 2 hours. It's really good.
That's
If you
really
would-
strong.
If you would like to
I
know
have a
why,
few memes.
you have to just go back into the thing. We have memes? Cool, let's
Yeah, but-
That
Just a few.
That Colonel Sanders energy just makes me think that he's going to be like, is a man not entitled to the due of the chicken fry? No, says the man at McDonald's. It belongs
Somebody
to the
got it.
floor.
Yes!
No, says the man in the Wendy's. It belongs to the Frosty.
say. So let's say, hypothetically, you're running a Call of Cthulhu game. I hate this man. This man is one of my most
For the
hated
sake of
men.
argument. For the sake
Yeah,
of
for the
argument,
sake
your
of
sanity
argument.
meter
Yeah.
ends out.
If
You'll run out of luck points.
if the dark gods just run over your city, just you wouldn't do it, so sell your house and move.
Sell your house and Sell it to who, Ben? The spawn of Dagon?
Fuck that man.
Why it's so strong?
This is actually a really good trick. I like
That's
this
good.
one. Yeah, it is a solution, but it might be like a bit of a stopgap. Yeah, but it works.
No, you slap it on, and then you slap 8 more pieces of flex tape on, and then he's a Giga Chad.
I mean,
Yep.
yeah, but that's 8 pieces though. We're not made of money here.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. This is good as well.
Oh my god, yeah.
And the castle.
It's so on point.
Yeah.
Dude, Isle of Dread is so fucking huge.
I love
I love
really
that.
Big, yeah.
That's still my favorite old one. So my favorite. The Goodman Games version of it for 5e. Oh, it's really good. They add so much more.
Poggers.
Jake, you made really good ones this time. Holy shit, the next one.
Yeah, these are all powerful. These are all really good.
Fucking Takeshi's Castle reference here.
Yeah,
God
I
damn
mean,
it.
I say shamelessly, I like totally made it. Do it.
Yeah.
I love the idea of having fucking Takeshi's Challenge being a fucking ordeal.
Boy, that would be a really good one though. Imagine this. Okay, folks, you each get these. You have 100 guys or 100 characters. You don't know yet who they are, and they are gonna have to run over these rocks. And then Zero falls in, and then the last 4 dudes get character sheets and fight Takeshi in his little car.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's so
It's
good.
so strong. So strong.
It's the new
And then
Takeshi's
Takeshi
Castle.
is like fucking Gilgamesh from Final Fantasy. He's got like 14 arms. He's wielding like pool noodle swords.
Yes.
Yes.
Incredible.
Exactly.
Oh, it's so strong.
And this is the last one, and I also really love it.
Can't even laugh at that. That hurts. You guys a bitch. That place
Yeah.
sucks.
Drake, oh my holy god, you did good with the memes this time. These are really gold.
If you've ever thought, wow, Drake doesn't talk as much as the other two, it's because they're making art.
Yes.
Yes.
They are creating the greatest content the show can produce. You fucking troglodyte plebeians, do you not see the glory of this artistry before you?
Woo.
Bow to their majesty.
Okay. I believe it's my turn
What
to
are we doing next time?
pick game. Yeah.
Let's go.
You pick game.
I pick Lancer.
Woo!
Let's do it.
Woo! Let's go!
Because I loved it when you mentioned it today because back before the show I was like, okay, I would love. What do I want to do? I don't actually want to do a bad one, and
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm kind of in a sci-fi mood. I could do the Firefly thing, but that's kind of moment is kind of for past. And then I was like, well, I never read Lancer. Yeah, why not? Let's go.
I have a copy of Lancer to send to everybody.
Yeah, perfect. Because I sure don't. This was a last minute decision.
Oh yeah, I've got it.
But perfect. So we're gonna do a good game for next time. At least according to one of us.
I think it's very good. I think
it's very good also.
Oh, two of us. Okay. Cool.
Oh yeah. I do want to show off the digital tool too. Very good stuff.
Well, and that's good for you. That's true. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Awesome.
2 weeks.
Yes, 2 weeks. That's gonna be in 2 weeks. I don't know. Math's hard. I'm not gonna attempt math. It's too warm. But now we are going to rate a certain Cisco clown who was here earlier.
That's the 27th, by the way, everyone.
Well, I don't trust math either, so I don't know if that's true or not.
I'm looking at
That's
the
true.
calendar
You are a
right
cat.
now, Nora.
I am. Anyone can look at the calendar. That doesn't make it correct. Listen.
No, Nora. It's not that anyone is looking at the calendar. It's that I am, and I'm always correct.
So anyway, tomorrow on my Discord, I'm gonna have a movie night. We're starting, and I say night loosely because we're starting at noon EST. It's gonna be 2 movies. I'm keeping it close to my chest what they are. Be there or don't, I don't care. Emery, what's up with you?
I'm going to be streaming a little bit less this week as I'm prepping my new re-debut.
Oh, awesome! Right, that's coming up. Awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's coming up at the end of the month.
This giga chat here is gonna move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff is complete. I'm getting more updates more frequently, so it should be all good.
Nice, cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And for Drake, we can only say again, Drake's getting internet by the end of the month. I've heard.
Internet. Mr.
So it's very possible we're doing like the show in 4 weeks time show on Drake's channel because that's gonna be Drake's. Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be awesome. But now it's time to raid because the raid is about to go. So folks, have a good time, everyone. Have a good day. I'll see you all soon. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye.
Bye.
Yeah.